What's up, everyone? Welcome. I'm back. Welcome back to Horror with Nadia. I've missed you all. I know last week I was not streaming as much, and today's a little different. Today we are not doing our normal time nor normal show. This stream was scheduled a couple weeks back. We had to reschedule it a couple of times. So luckily enough, we're going to get through it today. Today we're going to be talking about Vincent Price movies. I have his top 19 movies that both Enzo, myself, Gord, and Leon are going to go through and rate them. Some fun facts for each of them. So before we get into it and before I bring on my panel, please do me a favor, hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't. I know the 40% of you that watch haven't yet. Help me get to that 1K marker. And then if you are watching it right now, go ahead and share the stream with your fellow Vincent Price fan. Vincent Price has influenced a lot of horror movies, a lot of generational, even to this day. So this should be a fun stream to talk about. So with that, let me invite everybody on. And Leon's late. What's up, Enzo and Gord?
Chilling.
How you doing, Nadia? And what's up, Enzo? What's going on?
Good to see you, Gordo.
How was Lance's stream?
It was fine. It was packed. 6 people on. Talked about Predator and some other stuff. Gordo, I watched The Surfer with Nicolas Cage. It was really good. It was cool.
I've been hearing some things about that movie. I've got it on my watch list now. It was off my radar entirely till about 2 weeks ago.
I thought it was gonna be like John Wick style, where he's gonna lose his cool and kill all these surfer guys. No, it's nothing like that.
Knowingly lives in PST is retarded.
Yeah, it's okay.
I put everything in Eastern time in all my chats.
Eastern time doesn't exist. Anything is Central and prior. Eastern time doesn't exist. It's not real. Fuck New York.
I'm sorry you don't know how to do math. I don't know what to tell you. I thought men were better at math.
I just refuse to acknowledge that Eastern time is a thing.
Hi, Leon.
Hey there. Sorry, I'm late.
All right. Enzo, sorry.
That's okay. How was your trip, Nadia?
My trip was great. As much as I think Illinois is the worst state in the union, I really do want to move back. So,
Ouch.
Can't do
Illinois
it.
is not the worst. Chicago makes the rest of the state look bad. There's a lot of good about Illinois.
Yeah,
I don't know about
what's
that,
the
but
worst state? Wyoming, Rhode Island, or some awful states.
Wyoming's not.
I
like
said worst state
Alabama,
in the
Mississippi.
union. In the union.
No, northern
Okay.
Alabama's really nice. I quite like northern Alabama.
The South is pretty nice. Georgia's pretty nice. But Leon's right. It's usually the major cities that everybody focuses on that is the cause of why nobody likes that state. And
Bro,
stuff.
go to rural Illinois and they will talk mad shit on Chicago. It's hilarious.
Bro, I used to live in Grand Ridge, Illinois. Population of like 500 people. Didn't
I
even...
was talking to the chat, not you. I assumed
Yeah.
you knew that. Yeah.
Yeah, I lived there for a hot minute and then I was like, nope, I'm out. I'm dipping. It is like they don't even have a bar because it's a dry town. So there's like a bar grill that's on the border of it. You have to drive to the next town, which is Ottawa, Illinois, to go grocery shopping, which is about 45 to an hour down. So yeah, it was yeah. So but it was a great trip. I got to see my niece and nephew, got to celebrate my mom's 3rd birthday in heaven and hang out with my sisters, and yeah, it was fun. It was fun, except for Southwest. Fuck Southwest. Southwest is becoming the spirit of airlines to me.
Well, Southwest used to be like everyone's favorite, and now they're sucking lately.
Now, because they took away the 2 free check bags, which starts after a certain day, and they delayed my flight for 4 times.
Mother
4 times.
Fathers. Yeah, I gotta fly to Chicago in August. I'm worried.
I have to fly in Orlando in September, and I'm worried.
I'm worried because I have to travel with my band, and there's so many. That's such a problem. Like bands always die in plane crashes, like Fate. You know, it's like.
Don't.
And
yeah.
the Buddy Holly of YouTube.
Yeah.
My dad did say he thinks Spirit is actually going to pick up the whole 2 free check bag thing because Southwest had that copyrighted that was legally theirs to utilize. That's why other didn't publicize it and stuff. I'm giving just like the general overview of it, and then he thinks Spirit will pick it up. He thinks.
Bro, I'm a man. I've never checked a bag in my life. If I can't fit everything I need for a trip in a carry-on, fuck it, I don't need it.
You're not. That's. What about your Leona personality?
No, Leona 42% herself.
Yeah.
All right.
Bringing on
Let's
a
say hi to that and get this started. Anthony Mark, welcome. I love this. I love the movie Theater of Blood. Nosferatu.
I do
Ew. Nas is mad at me because he wants me to cover Bone Tomahawk so badly, which I plan to do next Tuesday. Next Tuesday,
awesome movie.
plan to cover it and talk about it.
Some
For
of the
you,
best
Nas.
sound
That was
Foley
actually my
work
porn
ever.
name back when I worked in the biz.
Bone Tomahawk.
Peepers in here. Kevin, welcome. Piranha, what's up, girl?
Nice
Howdy,
PFP.
howdy.
Yeah,
I love her. Yeah, she's beautiful.
She is, agreed.
Look at those dimples.
I
I want to
feel
snort
insulted,
ketamine out
Amy,
of her dimples.
for this. I'm only here for Leon. I'm like, what? Not me? Not me, sir? Okay, I see how it is. All right. So Vincent
You're the
Price.
second best player on the panel.
Thank you. Vincent Price. Gord, was this your first time like being introduced to him as
I mean,
his
I've known who Vincent Price was since I was young, but as far as watching his movies, other than I think Edward Scissorhands and House on Haunted Hill, I had watched none of these. So pretty much everything else, like 17 of the 19 movies, were first time watches.
Yeah.
Bit of a mix. It's funny. It's a bit of a mixed bag, but most all the same flavor. Though a
about
few
you, Enzo?
differences, few surprises.
what about you, Enzo?
Yeah, I watched a bunch of these for the first time. I mean, I had seen like a good 5 or 6 or 7 before these. I had seen Last Man on Earth, and obviously Edward Scissorhands and Monster Club, which I watched on my channel
Oh gosh.
last October. It was amazing. But yeah, watching a bunch of these, some of these were meh, but a lot of them were really good. I was excited. And also, I don't know if this is, I have a finalized list that we have, but a couple of movies on the list were not horror films. I watched those and liked those too. But I was like, I'm going to be upset if I watch these for nothing. I mean, not really, because they were good, but still.
We're covering 19 of them.
Okay,
I set
cool.
the final
Yeah.
list.
I think I just counted. I have the same amount of numbers and lists and movies in my list, so yeah, it should be right. But yeah, Vincent Price. It's one of those things where I've seen him in a few movies, and you know what's funny is we've been watching these movies for a few months now because the stream kept getting delayed, and I watched a few of these movies I feel like back in goddamn February or March or something, So I might have to brush up my memory on a few of them because a lot of the Edgar Allan Poe ones are kind of blending together in my memory. But that being said, every time I was plugging the stream for months and months, eventually we're going to do this Vincent Price stream on Nadia's, I would always have someone in the comment say, oh, make sure you do this movie that wasn't on the list. And you'd be like, God damn, he's in so many. He's in so many good ones.
So many movies.
Yeah.
We'll have to do a part 2 of this.
big influence in film in general, not just horror films, but film in
We're
general.
doing
I think
his 20 best movies. I think we should do his 20 worst movies next.
Yes.
Oh, no.
I actually what I would like to do for the next tier stream down the line is do 90s 2000s
Yeah.
directed at young adult horror movies. So The Faculty, Scream, Urban Legend, those
Love 'em.
movies. That'd be kind of fun, nostalgia. But Leon,
Oh, well, if you do it at the right time, I mean, you can do it right at the same time the remake or sequel or whatever I Know What You Did Last Summer comes out.
that's what I was thinking. Leon, you
Ooh.
fucking beautiful bastard. Why did
Thank
you did not have to do this? Thank you, sir. I appreciate you as always. Why don't you, while I look for a clip, why don't you tell me what your influence or experience with Vincent Price is?
Well, as a local St. Louis boy, I mean, he's one of the living legends of where I hail from. He's revered. Vincent Price and Jesse James revered as gods around these parts. So yes, he's kind of been ever present in my life. He's got not that I've ever seen it. But my grandfather has one of the most extensive art collections of a private collector. My grandfather's he's raved about it. Again, Vincent Price is he's a legend where I'm from. So.
Very cool. And for you?
This is the skin of a killer, Bill.
I only play that because I'm seeing it in theaters tomorrow.
You would say this is the skin of a potato, but
All right, let's get so let me pull up this. Oh shit, Leon's on. Hold on 1 second. I don't know why I didn't count him in. There you are, Leon. Yay! All right.
Is what I get for being late.
This is not school, but I did put a couple of fun facts here initially before we get into the first movie. So Vincent Price was an American actor, art collector, culture icon, best known for his distinct voice, sophisticated charm, and prolific work in the horror films. Born Vincent Leonardo Prince Jr., May 27, 1911, in
Boy,
St.
wow.
Louis, Missouri.
Go back.
Yeah.
Reread that name one more time.
Mhm.
Isn't it Leonardo? No, Leonardo.
Yeah, it's not only not Leonardo, it's not Prince either.
Vincent Leonard Price.
Leonard Price. I'm sorry, I got it pretty late last night.
She's jet lagged.
It's also like 5-point font on my screen at this size.
Yeah,
so, you know.
yeah. Thank you. So, okay. Anyway, he was born in St. Louis, Missouri. Well-to-do family. His father was a candy company executive. His grandfather invented Dr. Price baking powder. Price graduated from Yale University with a degree in art history in 1933, later pursuing acting in London, where he debuted on stage in 1935. His film career began with character roles in the late 1930s, notable Laura 1944. Price became a horror legend in 1950s and 1960s, starring in classics like House of Wax, which has a remake, The Fly, which has a remake, House of Haunted Hill, which has a remake. His collaborations with director Roger Corman include Edgar Allan Poe adaptations like The Pit and The Pendulum and The Raven, cemented his genre status, his theatrical flair, and wiry, I think, humor made him a standout, often elevating low-budget films, which 100% agree.
Bro, hang
Beyond
on,
acting,
hang on.
yeah.
Yeah. His grandfather did not invent Dr. Price's baking powder. That is the first commercial baking powder ever. So like that's a big deal. That's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Also,
well,
we're doing
wow.
best Vincent Price movies, and we didn't do Laura. Is he just not? Laura, wow, because Laura's like an Oscar winner. I'm surprised.
it didn't
It's like
get
a
added.
Yeah, it's
Is
pretty.
that
He's
not
pretty.
ChatGPT
movie,
didn't
though?
add it to the list.
Wow, ChatGPT is retarded. Laura's a pretty famous film noir. I'm surprised that wasn't on. I mean, I guess because it's not horror, but I don't know.
Well, I
could
also
be that.
I like the hodgepodge randomness of the list we got. It was good.
Yeah, I'm fine with the list that we ended up doing. It's just wow, if they didn't list that amongst his best. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Beyond acting, he was passionate art collector, authoring books on the subject, promoting art appreciation through lecture and TV appearances. He also lent his voice to projects like Michael Jackson's Thriller, which I think a lot of people know him from. And I think that might have been my first introduction to him, though I watched a lot of his movies when I was younger and in film school. Host of PBS mystery
was
series.
the movie The Great Mouse Detective.
That's
Ooh.
another great one. Yeah. I think originally that was on the list and I removed it because I was like, that's not a horror movie.
I
Michael
mean,
Jackson's
to a
Thriller.
kid, that kind of is a horror. When he goes all
Yeah.
write it out at the end, that's pretty horror-esque. But anyway,
Well, and there's a couple on here now that aren't either, but I mean, early stages of the list, it's easy to see why I got omitted. Plus, you can't see them, so
yeah.
That's true. A gourmet cook. He published a cookbook with his second wife, Mary Grant. Price married 3 times, had 2 children, and was politically active, supporting liberal causes. Again, different time. Allegations of bisexuality.
He's a little bit different than liberal in 2025.
Yeah. Allegations of bisexuality mentioned by his daughter Victoria in a 2015 biography remain unconfirmed. He died of lung cancer on October 25th, 1933 in Los Angeles, leaving a legacy of horror legacy as a horror icon and multi-faceted cultural figure.
faceted,
Okay.
multifaceted.
Thank you.
Not
Thank you.
1993. I think it's in 1933. 1993.
What's up, Molly? I see you, Yarn Witch, Rio. I see you guys crawling in here. Thank you, guys. I know it's a different time than usually I go live, but here we are. Oh, I mentioned it before we get into the first movie. You guys are going to be rated into Sun and Shadow cast because I go on with them afterwards for Freddy versus Jason discussion. So join us over there. In between, make sure you join Leon's tinfoil haters because he's asking a question if giants still exist, and I think that's a stupid question because they do exist. But there we go. All right, first movie. I figure we start off strong.
Yeah.
Everybody knows Edward Scissorhands, right? I think
Oh yeah.
this is a lot of nostalgia to it. So A gentle artificial man with scissors for hands tries to fit into society. Key moments: Edward's creation and abandonment, the bittersweet ending, and then trivia. Vincent Price plays the inventor in this final on-scene screen role, and Tim Burton created the role for Price specifically.
Mhm.
So this would be the first movie that we are. I know it's starting off strong.
Yeah, I think for most millennials and probably a good deal of other younger people, this is probably the first time most of us have ever saw Vincent Price in a movie. This was my introduction to him on screen. I mean, obviously I saw the Thriller video and I heard his voice before that, but yeah, this was the first time I ever saw him, and it wasn't all that long after I learned a bit about who he was. I can't remember exactly where, but I was aware not too long after first seeing this that yeah, he's a horror movie icon. He's been in all these great stuff, and I was like, oh, okay, that's cool. But yeah, I've always been a big fan of Edward Scissorhands. I love the imagination behind it. I think it's one of Burton's better films. Back when he blended his style with his storytelling, I think really well. It's obviously like a kind of a breakout movie for Johnny Depp. You had Winona Ryder in there, who's probably that between that and Beetlejuice, probably the best looking she ever was. But yeah, I love Edward Scissorhands. I think this is a top tier movie that Vincent Price is in. I love it.
Real quick, are we ranking his performance in the films or the films as a whole that he's in?
Film
Those
as
are
a
two
whole,
different
I would
answers
think.
for me.
Film
I
as a
think
whole.
the films at a whole, because besides this movie, he's pretty lead on a lot of the ones that are coming up. So I would say movie at a whole. Like there are actors that have phenomenal roles, but then the movie's shit, right? So I wouldn't
Exactly. That's why
recommend
I
the
actually think
movie.
this is one of those. I don't think the movie's shit, but I think this is a heavily overrated film. So I'm gonna have a stark
Do you
contrast.
think
Most
it's
people
like Nightmare Before Christmas, where there's just the nostalgia behind it for the millennial
I do think that's a
generation?
lot of it. Not that this is a bad movie. So Tim Burton, from the late 80s to about the early 2000s, pretty much everything he touched was gold. They're all great, or at least very good movies. So in that list of very good movies, something's got to be at the lower end of his top tier. And I think this is one of those. Now, of course, like
just right here, so do we
2005
have the tiers? Do we have the tiers up? Just so
Yeah,
you get an
those-
idea of what each one
just
is
so-
defined
yeah.
as.
like 2005
No.
onward, Tim Burton's almost more shit than good. But yeah, I do think that this is on the lower end of his good movies.
So top tier is a must watch. So this is a movie we'd highly recommend you watch. Second tier is pretty good. It's pretty good. Like you can casually like throw it on. Maybe you got nothing else to watch. Third tier
Nadia,
is like
the bottom
what?
tier should be called "The Price is Wrong."
The price
That's
is wrong, bitch.
I got you.
Shit.
There you go.
Nice.
Third tier is like what? And those are for our like weird movies that Enzo would watch, but nobody else would watch.
Yeah.
In a sense, you know what I mean? Like
The question is, do I watch the terrible movies and enjoy them, or do I watch the terrible movies and hate them? That happens. It's a 50-50
it's like a terrible
chance.
movie, but you enjoy it. Like
Yeah.
take an edible, sit back and enjoy this movie kind of deal.
Yeah.
And then the last tier is The Price is Wrong, which is like skip it. It's not worth hunting it down to try to find it. I hope that makes sense. Does that make sense for everybody on the panel?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I love Edward Scissorhands. This one and Beetlejuice are like his most like out there, original, and Tim Burton-y movies. All of his other movies kind of plagiarize his own style. That's why I like Ed Wood and Big Fish a lot, because they don't seem like Tim Burton movies on a surface level. But yeah, Edward Scissorhands is great. I would love to imagine. First of all, it's the best movie ever about where snow comes from. So that's undeniable. No one can argue with that. But I would love to see like Mahler or some YouTube autist try to like painstakingly talk about why this movie makes no sense on a like plot level. Like how does Vincent Price make this guy alive, and why does he? That is all like none of that shit matters. That's why this movie's so cool. It is literally.
I think that would fall in line with the movie's own internal logic. I don't think it necessarily betrays it. And
no, I love it.
No. I think Enzo and would agree with you on that. It's again the YouTube autists that again, take
everything
hour and
very
a half
literal.
movie and
They
break
take
it down.
everything
into
very
No,
nine
literal.
I
hours.
guess because you brought up Mahler, and because I'm something of a YouTube autist, it's like, I mean, at least as far as where he and I align is that as long as you're internally consistent, we're fine. I mean, you can get away with a ton of stuff. Absurdist is perfectly fine. It's when you betray your internal logic and you don't, kind of internally justify your creative choices that we're like, okay, you're just doing this because I just feel like doing it.
Well, this is also a great movie for like pubescent goth kids, because like
Hot Topic
I think one of the
kids.
I think it's not even necessarily hot topic kids, but like kids who feel like they don't fit in suburbia. That is like Tim Burton's like niche. Like, oh, I'm so much like I'm so above all this, white American suburban. Kind of Americana type vibe. It's
Heard
so
the Cure for the
strange to
first
me.
time, and all of a sudden you have a new identity.
Yeah, like Tim Burton is so strange, but he's not the one that's weird. It's society that's weird, It's very heavy-handed on this, but this movie, unlike a lot of the other Tim Burton movies, this is probably the funniest Tim Burton movie besides like Ed Wood and a couple others. Like, I understand what
Pee Wee's
Leon's
Big
saying.
Adventure is pretty dang funny too.
I understand what Leon's
So it's
saying
Sleepy
about.
Hollow, but I know it's
I
intentionally funny.
understand what Leon's saying about this probably being like bottom tier, like Tim Burton good movies, but when we're talking about just like laughs, like a funniest Tim Burton movies, this is like top 3, top 5, maybe.
I agree with you, Enzo. I think
Alan
it also
Arkin.
plays on different levels too, like where young kids, teenagers can watch
Right.
it, and there's jokes in there that
Right.
honestly adults would probably, like, going back as an adult, pick up more so.
I rewatch it and totally I'm synced identifying with Alan Arkin's character this time. I'm like watching it as an adult. I'm like, dude, this guy, he's the best part of the movie. Like,
I wanted to say thank you to Yarnwitch because she rated into me. So thank you so much.
thank
I
you.
didn't see it because I didn't see on the YouTube side, but I really appreciate it. And I see you as well, Jake Jamalama. Welcome, guys. Welcome. Thank you for joining. Maybe I should move Horror Tuesday up an hour. It seems to be better for everybody. But so where are we putting this, guys? To me, I should go
Must
probably.
watch.
This is a nostalgia movie for me. It's one of my favorite Tim Burton movies, Big Fish being the movie for me. Like, that's my favorite Tim Burton movie. But I grew up with these movies as a kid, watching all of them, and I liked the special effects. I like the design to Edward, and I do like Price's role in this, even though it's very small. It's very heartwarming to me. Comes off. So I say a must watch. Are we putting must watch? Are we starting strong with a must watch?
when we talk about every aspect of the movie, it doesn't matter if we were doing a Winona Ryder tier or a Johnny Depp tier or a Danny Elfman tier or a Tim Burton tier or a Vincent Price tier, like Edward Scissorhands is going to come up. Like,
All right.
Now,
Yeah, I could make a case that, like, because I actually would put it in must watch. If you don't particularly like the movie Edward Scissorhands and you wanted to make the argument that Vincent Price is just not that big a part of it, you could argue that it belongs lower. I personally am going to put it in must watch because I do think it's a really good movie. I think it's good for young people to be introduced to Vincent Price this particular way. But I could see somebody arguing it down and be fine with it. But I'm going to put it in must watch because I do think it's a good movie.
I will say, just there's a rule for the panel too. Everybody gets a one chance to move a movie on the list too. So I forgot to mention that. That is a game we play with the panel. So go ahead, Leon.
Well, so my thoughts aside, because I'm outvoted about this being a must watch, I would say this is actually just a pretty good movie. I think that this would fit Kimberly pretty good. However, I'd make my real argument would be this is an what movie. It's such a good what movie that, like, in terms of being so out there and yet consistent and wild, that it hits a quality of what that is almost like a 10 out of 10 on the artistry scale that makes it pretty good. So it kind of could fit anywhere in those three for very different reasons. So yeah, I'd say pretty good, but yeah, must watch is clearly what the panel goes for, so by all means. But yeah, it's a very special kind of what in my opinion.
Do y'all ever wonder, like, I don't know if the last time anyone rewatch it, but do y'all ever watch the beginning and think, oh yeah, Avon ladies do they even exist anymore?
They do.
What's an Avon lady?
They do.
I haven't seen an Avon lady since back around that time period.
Door-to-door makeup salesman. I mean,
Yeah. I don't know if it's no more like door to door. It's kind of like was it Herbalife or whatever, where it's like
contacts, phone calls.
Yeah, your long lost like high school friend on Facebook hits you up and be like, listen, I've got, this helped me, that kind of stuff. So yeah.
I've got an opportunity.
Well,
Yeah.
this movie, because I almost mentioned, there's a lot of them to go over on this list, but like to me, this movie is goth Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and that's why it's in the like, when you put those words together, teenage mutants, ninja turtles, you're like, what? Now do the same thing, but with goth stuff. You've got angsty goth hairdresser with scissor hands.
Yeah.
What?
And
Why
it
does
shows,
this movie
like,
work?
So
It does
you're
work.
saying it's amazing?
Yeah, the fact that it was a commercial success.
Again, but again, it's got all the. If you just look at it like that, it's definitely what, but in a good way.
But like the fact that it was a commercial success shows like how open audiences were in the '90s to weird shit like this.
Yeah,
It's kind of
that's
sad
true.
that we don't because objectively speaking, like I would not say this is a great like masterpiece level movie, but the fact that we used to get like experimental fairy tale movies like this, that were just of this level, like your 7 out of 10 type movies. It's like, gosh, what an era we've lost.
Yeah.
Where we
Well,
used
it's
to get
also,
stuff like
I would
this.
say this is like essential viewing for really young kids because it talks
Sure.
about a lot of stuff like, death and crushes, and it handles it in a very childlike way that kids could probably easily understand and absorb, like, morality complex. Like, it's obvious that, also, what's his name from Breakfast Club just playing like a villain, which was so out of
Anthony
character.
Michael Hall.
He's
It's like,
great.
wait till I show you one of his older movies.
He's also like kind of roided out now, It's like,
Yeah.
whoa, people didn't even believe that was him, when we first saw it. But yeah, like there's a great, like it's very black and white, morality stories, and all that kind of lessons you get from good stories. It's great.
Well, moving
Also,
on to
just
our next
realized it
one.
came out the same year as Ninja Turtles, completely unrelated. But like, I was, wow, I didn't even mean to make Ninja Turtles reference.
Well, the
Both
first
movies
Ninja
came out in 90.
Turtles, not to be a tangent to you, Leon, I think it just got announced it's getting a 4K remaster
nice.
set for
Oh,
it.
that's
So the
amazing.
first one,
It's
I
such a
still watch
classic.
I still watch the first one from time to time. It's to me, it still
Good
holds up.
movie. It's a
Yeah.
it's a really, really arguably great movie. It's really
Mhm.
freaking good.
I'd say it's arguably one of the greatest comic book to live action adaptations ever made.
Yep.
But
Yeah,
okay, that's
I think that's totally fair.
Now the second and third one, I don't know, but the first one, yes, definitely, yeah. So the next movie we're talking about is The Monster Club, 1981, a horror anthology framed by a vampire, Price, introducing stories at a monster club. Key moments is the chilling final tale of the Humgoos,
Like human
Humgoos.
ghouls. It's the
Human
stupidest you
goose.
think it is.
Human
Goose. The upbeat musical monster finale, and it features Price singing in the club, and based on the stories by a British author, I'm not even going to try. Chetwynd Hayes.
Shetland.
Shetwynd
Yeah.
Hayes.
Yeah.
I want Enzo to start on this one because I know Enzo's good.
Yeah. So me and my cousin, you could watch a full length commentary of me and my cousin watching this for the first time ever. And it's definitely a treat. It's a terrible movie, but it's fun. First of all, key moments for us is like when it's the only time Vincent Price ever played a vampire, which is crazy. And he's like, he sucks the blood of John Carradine in an alley, which is very like, homo themed. And John Carradine, this is actually a pretty cool idea. Like a vampire sucks your blood and now he's indebted to you. Like, hey, thanks for giving me sustenance. Let me take you out or something, or paint your deck or do something cool like that. That's actually pretty neat. But like John Carradine is taken to this monster club and he has like horrific arthritis in his hands because he's so old, and he's drinking tomato juice. And the monster club is bizarre. It looks like a bunch of people wearing shitty monster masks because they are.
Yeah.
It took me a while to realize these are supposed to be actual monsters in a monster club. The music is pretty hit or miss, mostly miss. Like the live performances.
So there's like one genuine
Yeah.
banger.
The best
I
part
think it's
is
the one that the woman sings.
Yeah,
I
the
think I was like,
woman-
that's a good song.
The woman's song is great, and also the song where the girl does the famous striptease into a skeleton
yeah.
scene. That's a great clip. That was where we were realizing like, oh, this is that movie. Holy shit, okay. But yeah, there's a specific moment where Vincent Price points to the chart and starts explaining monsters like they're Pokemon. like a Vamgoo is like a vampire and a ghoul and a were-vamp. That's where me and my cousin were like, no, stop this. Like, immediately stop talking. This is terrible. What everything you're saying is annoying. And my cousin was saying, like, yes, a lepre-vamp is a vampire and a leprechaun. You know, it's just like, it's that stupid. And it's just like, holy shit. And the first two stories, I mean, you got John Carradine, you got Donald Pleasance, you got Vincent Price. And yeah, the first story is a weird tale about what is the first story? Oh my god. We've got the vampire stories. The second story. The first story is the Murdoch. What was it called? A flamdock? A shamdock. A shamcock. Anyway, it's an ugly guy who can whistle. I don't know. It's stupid.
Shadmock. The Shadmock.
Thank you.
Oh my
There's the
gosh.
Shadmock, the vampire, and the ghoul village.
They're saying how like they show the lady sees him for the first time and she's so utterly repulsed by him, and it's like he just looks like a guy who's like sleep deprived. He doesn't look that
Yeah.
bad. But you know,
It was very low budget, guys.
yeah.
If you can't tell.
Donald Pleasance is in the second story where he's like a priest spying on a young boy, and it turns out that it's actually because like his dad's a vampire and he's trying to kill his dad. That was dumb. The big reveal at the end on how the vampire gets out of the sticky situation, it was like absolutely retarded, for lack of a better word. And then the third story with the Humgoo, the village full of ghouls, like that was the best story, and it wasn't great. But like I said, it's worth watching for the insane zaniness. And also a soundtrack by John Williams, UB40, a few others that were like, whoa, what are they doing here? Yeah, I don't know. It was a baffling movie. I wouldn't say skip it. It is terrible, but it's definitely in the category.
This movie's an what?
You gotta watch it for how weird it is.
It's a party movie. You watch because like to me, so I wouldn't say I didn't enjoy it at all. It was just I knew about 20-30 minutes and I was like, this is something you're supposed to watch with other people. It's got like maybe inebriated would help a lot, but I was like I would say the most disappointing thing is you're not in the actual Monster Club enough. I actually think those are the sequences that are really fun. Like the anthology aspects are actually really boring. I think the stories are the biggest weakness, but the actual Monster Club stuff, it's so goofy and so campy and so weird that you're like, okay, I have a little bit of fun when I watch these parts, and those are the party aspects. So like I would say if you're by yourself, skip it. Never, like, it's not worth watching on your own, but if you have friends over and it's like around Halloween, it could be pretty fun.
Bro, remember
Like-
the second
there's
song
plans
where,
for a sequel called Monster Dojo where he tries to bite David Carradine and it turns into a big fight. And
Yeah.
That'd be
They call
amazing.
that up.
I
Doesn't
play
that
this
sound like
on
something
the
great?
projector on our garage.
Just love the
for,
idea that there's all
kids.
these sequels around the Carradines.
what do the
What's
kids
the
think
Keith
about this,
Carradine
Nadia?
one?
I mean, when they come by for trick or treating, I'll have like this play on, or I'll play like a weird movie and stuff. And usually, sometimes they'll sit around and they'll just like, nowadays kids, this doesn't have the quality that would keep their attention for it. But a lot of the parents are like, oh, I remember this movie.
Yeah.
Oh, I remember seeing this.
Dude,
So,
one of my favorite parts is the second song, I think we see, where it's like the close-up of the one guy for the entire song, and he's just singing and doing sucking sounds and shit, and the camera never moves. It's just like a close-up shot of this guy's face, and he's literally doing in the song. It's horrific.
yeah. Leon, what about you? Because I know you're short on time.
No, I think this is the definition of an what. Like, I'm glad we got to this one before I had to go. This is these are the sorts of movies that, like Enzo, I sort of live for. But by the same token, Gord is entirely correct. I would never watch this solo. This is you get your buddies together, you're playing Magic the Gathering, and you want something all in the background to occasionally be like, oh, it's this scene. Okay, and now that's over. Hey, I've got a 2-drop angel. Let's go. Like, you know what I mean?
Movies like this are why I do my show, my channel. Like, this is like, watching these by yourself is weird.
Yeah. Gord, I know you said a little bit about it. Are you with the what as well? Do you have anything?
I think
additional to add?
what is perfectly acceptable. Like I said, if you're as long as you're watching it with people, what is perfectly fine. It is a genuinely bad film. It's arguably the worst film on the list, though not the least entertaining. So, what?
Yeah, that's a
totally
good point.
fine.
Jake Martin for $10. Best enjoyed with friends deserves to be a genre. You know what? I'm going to change the what to that because I think that kind of falls in that category.
Yeah, I think that's a good
too.
call.
And then thank you so much, Jake, for the $10. Let's do Spanish.
hables, maldito! De lo contrario te arrojaré al fuego.
A la verga me vale verga, perro. Y cállate a la verga, hija de su puta madre.
A la verga.
What's up, Rick? All right, moving on. Leanna, you just let me know when you got a dip, okay?
Yeah, no worries. I'll give another 10 minutes or so. Like
Okay.
my starts in 20, so I think I can do 10 and get prep time and whatnot.
So, Madhouse, 1974. A horror actor is suspected of a real-life murders mirroring his movies. Key moments, Price's descent into paranoia. Final twist revealing to be the true killer. Trivia, Price plays a version of himself. Features clips from earlier films like The Raven. Leanne, I'll let you go first.
Sorry, give me one moment. I was signing into my OBS
Yeah.
because I was having some issues with my StreamYard. Anyway, Madhouse is a fucking I don't know. I wouldn't consider this a horror movie. Like I get maybe time like the time it came out in
Mockumentary
1974.
maybe or
It's
something. Kinda...
well, no, I thought this was more of like a true crime. I mean, I guess mockumentary
Okay.
works more of a mystery thriller sort of thing that's just got like horror elements because of the again, this is obviously he's an actor in a horror film. So again, I assume we were going into this with all horror movies. I don't know what ones you guys said weren't horror films because I didn't see what was on the full list there at the bottom because I know some got axed. I mean, I like it. It's not one you say, what Vincent Price movie you're gonna have just show people who Vincent Price is or whatnot. This would never be one of the ones I would jump to, but I also didn't I didn't disenjoy my time with it. And I don't know. This would be a difficult one to rank because there's not really a ranking for it's fine on the list. Like we go from masterpiece, pretty good. But I also don't think this is one that I would watch with friends either, unless we're doing again something like this. Go through, do all the Vincent Price stuff.
But with friends can be multiple, like it's a multiple tier thing. So like it's best enjoyed with friends, or like best enjoyed with like an edible, best enjoyed because like it's something that. So that's just like it's the umbrella that has like subcategories into it. So just
I
like
would
that.
firmly put this in the bottom tier
Yeah,
because
I knew that was coming.
I think. Well, here's the thing: because this actually, it's not because this isn't at all entertaining. It's because it's actually a pretty solid concept that I think completely falls off a cliff about 30, 40 minutes in. Like once you get to what turns out to be Peter Cushing's home with his wife who's all messed up or whatever, it just goes way off the rails. It's far too absurd because it does not start absurd, and it feels like it's trying to have its cake and eat it. It's trying to be kind of grounded with its story, but at the same time being just way out there. And there are just things you can tell they're just doing just to do, like when the guy ends up with all the spiders and suddenly his face is eaten off. I'm like, this is so retarded. It's not, like I said, there are fun things about it to watch. I think the weird thing is, like, if we were judging just performances, Vincent Price doesn't really have a bad one out of the bunch, at least not in this group of films. And he's actually pretty strong in this, but this was actually the last movie I watched. This and the previous one are probably the two that I would say are the worst. There's one other one that kind of falls.
Incompetently made film. Like I get what you're talking about from a writing perspective, but it's not an incompetently made film in terms
No,
of.
it's like there are design aspects that are really good. I think the makeup on him, and I think the concept is actually pretty cool. It's just the storytelling. I think just goes from being. It starts off really interesting and really intriguing and then completely falls off a cliff. And it to me was arguably the most disappointing movie on this list. And I do think it's a genuinely bad film.
I think, I agree. I would put it at the bottom too, because, this one and Theater of Blood were both kind of meta, and this one was bad.
Yeah.
Whereas Theater of Blood I loved, but we'll get into that later. But like this movie, I was thinking like this movie could be like remade like The Fly was, and just like really do it right, like the idea. And also like, the idea of like Vincent Price kind of playing like, I wish he literally just played Vincent Price. Like the fact that he's playing some other actor who was, and they showed, it felt like a like a puff piece kind of vanity project where we're just gonna pat Vincent Price on the back for some of his other cooler movies we've done with the same production company. Just kind of remember when type movie where we're gonna showcase a lot of clips from his other movies. That was very confusing at the first, where I was like, "Didn't I see this already?" And it's like, "I did." Okay, which is why I'm glad I watched them chronologically. But yeah, like this movie is just kind of weak sauce, you know. And
I guess the only reason I kind of disagree with, because I get what you and Gord are saying, but also, dude was in some fucking stinkers in the 50s, and so like maybe from this list, okay, fair enough, it's one of the weaker ones, but like there's some of his movies that are just like, oh, they pulled it's ironic you brought Peter Cushing and whatnot. They pulled a Peter Cushing or these Hammer guys, like Christopher Lee, like, or they put him in there for the name because the movie fucking sucked. That no one would have seen it otherwise. And this movie is not one of those. Like, he's had several of those, and this isn't one. It's just a fine movie. But again, maybe I'm being too generous. So.
I mean, I guess because I'm also considering the spirit of like the fourth tier, the price. It was renamed from kind of like Skip It. I don't think this is.
Oh, you're right. The price is wrong.
I don't think this is.
You're right.
Even if like you don't come away like strongly disliking it, which again I didn't hate the movie. It was just like, wow, that
you
really
don't need to watch this if we're talking about
it was like, wow,
career.
as far as like his movies go, it's like I feel like this one gets really disappointing
when you put it like that, given like the price is wrong. Okay, yeah, I actually
he definitely has way worse fare out there. But
yeah, I agree with pretty much all of you on this one. This was not the strongest one on the list to me, but it's still not a skippable. I think Leon's right. I think if you enjoy true crime more so, maybe this would be a little bit more your cup of tea versus some of the gothic horror that he has on the list.
But also, I do kind of like Vincent Price as a villain as opposed to this like fugitive type character.
Oh, he's great as a villain. Yeah,
trying to like clear his name or whatever. He's kind of the good guy.
Thank you, Jake, for dropping links. I see you dropping links. Thank you, guys. There's 45 people watching between YouTube and X. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much.
awesome.
Appreciate you guys. All right. Moving on. Theater of Blood, 1973.
I loved this one.
Yeah, same.
Shakespearean actor takes revenge on critics who panned him by murdering them via Shakespearean methods. Key moments: the critics' creative and ironic deaths. Price dramatic final scene. This is Price's favorite film of his own.
Awesome.
With our real life partner, Coral Brownie.
Like,
Awesome.
so I would say okay, so I think this movie is a blast. I don't think it's a great movie because I think
the
that
poster's great.
after the first couple of kills, the victims get it's like, wow, y'all get progressively dumber that you all keep getting to these scenarios that you're gonna get yourself killed. And plus, one of the most jarring things that this movie has I think it's the second kill of the movie. The guy's head gets cut off.
Third kill.
It gets discovered by the wife and the maid, and then the same head ends up in another guy's house. And I was like, what? What the actual heck just happened? How did that suddenly go from there to there? That is absolute nonsense. But I still think overall, it's a pretty strong movie. I would call it a good one. But as far as like Vincent Price viewing is concerned, it's a must watch.
Yeah.
It's such as far as his like exuberant and like over the because it's very over the top. It's nature's very over the top.
Anyone else get like
fun performance by
Cage vibes when watching this? It's like, oh, we get to see Vince Price like unhinged. Like it's like a proto Nick Cage style movie.
His death scene at the end is amazingly awesome and hilarious. It's like, holy shit. And I got like I said, it's the antithesis of Madhouse. Like it's also meta. It's also like the first death scene. The guy getting killed by a gang of homeless dudes, and then you realize like, oh, they're doing like a Julius Caesar thing. That's interesting. And then the second death scene, when the fucking dead body is getting like dragged by a horse, that's when I realized like, okay, this movie's not fucking around for 1973. And then from there, it just gets so insane, and I loved it because it reminded me of It's Always Sunny. The gang desperately tries to win an award, where it's like it's making fun of the fact that Vincent Price was never ever nominated for an Oscar, and it's just like,
and we're gonna see with one movie on here, I think he should have been.
You can tell that he he's kind of, I don't know, but it seemed like he's drawn from that personal experience, like this as his character, and also he's so like deliciously evil and he's got a gang of homeless dudes helping him like commit these like murders. It's insane.
And by the way, and shout out to Diana Rigg in this movie, aka the greatest Bond girl of all time, aka Olenna Tyrell. She's awesome in this as his daughter.
Yeah.
She's fantastic. I mean, it's funny because like, you know, a lot of us were introduced to her probably by watching Game of Thrones. It's like when you realize, oh, she's in On Her Majesty's Secret Service. She plays the Bond girl that he married before, you know, they did the Daniel Craig ones, but she's the best Bond girl, and she's really fantastic in this too. I was like, dang, we got several really strong performances out of this. This is such a fun movie.
So are we all in agreement? It's definitely a must-watch, at least in Vincent Price movies.
I'd say so.
Yes.
I think it's
definitely
actually
so.
a must-watch before Edward Scissorhands. That's
This is
fine.
Yeah,
one-
it's
yeah,
as
this-
far as Vincent Price
Yeah.
movies go, it's more essential viewing.
This is the one I was most surprised by.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because I
Wow.
saw it randomly, never saw it, and I saw it. This is one of the more recent ones I saw because I said I watched them chronologically, and I was like, I like that a lot more than I thought I was going to. You know?
I would
Well,
say this
Leon,
is
do-
for me the second most surprising. Well, maybe third. There's one on here that I think the best movie on here is probably the one I was most surprised by. But as far as his horror movies go, there's one that I was like a little bit more surprised by how good it was.
Leon, you got to jump.
Yeah, I gotta jump. My show's in 10 minutes.
What do
That
you
being
got
said,
going on?
everybody, 100%. This is a great idea for a stream. I wish I was able to be here longer because I do love Vincent Price. I'm gonna go out and say it. I'm sure my favorite's it's a very normie pick, but it's the first one that I remember watching and like knowing it was Vincent Price and knowing who he was and just being blown away by it was House on Haunted Hill. I saw it.
Yes.
In fifth grade. Yeah, I saw it like I think it was the summer between 4th and 5th grade, and it's never left. I've watched it multiple times since. So yeah, House on Haunted Hill. That's another one that like a lot of his films have been remade. I actually don't hate the remake. It's clearly nowhere near as good as the original, but it's a remake that I don't hate. And the guy that got to play the Vincent Price character, they had like full on. They basically used a Vincent Price lookalike, so that's really cool. So
Yeah.
all in all, I would, if you know my opinion is worth anything, I think that House on Hill should be in the must-watch category. And beyond that, if at any point I don't want to take views from Nadia, stay here, enjoy her, send her super chats the whole night.
Open
and then,
another
yeah.
tab, folks. You guys listen, you're watching on desktop. Open another tab. You can mute me. You can mute Leon. I don't fucking care. Just open a tab and give us the views, guys. You know that we're a community. We help each other. So please go check it out. They're going to be having an awesome conversation about Nephilims and giants. And Jake, if you could do me a favor and drop that link to that live stream in the chat if possible, or Jamma, whoever can be first would be appreciative. But thank you, Leon. And I think what I'm going to do is next tier stream, we're not going to do it on a weekend. We're not going to do it. We're going to coordinate and figure out where everybody can stay for a long time because you love these.
Sounds good.
movies
Yeah, I was
as
like,
much as I
okay,
do.
we'll do TFH and we'll rate and Nadia and do this. I totally did not realize we were going earlier today. I'm so sorry.
Oh, you're fine. You're fine. This was a one-off because of the reschedule, but I'm thinking moving this to like a Wednesday or something in that extent. We'll figure it out. But yeah.
Sounds gnarly. All right, guys. Deuces. Enjoy the stream. Via Vince Price.
Later, Leon.
Absolute legend. Catch you later, gang.
Thank you, Jake. Thank you. Appreciate it. And Gord stepped away for a second.
I'm back.
Oh, you're back. Okay, good. Hold on. Let me move everybody over so everybody can see our faces. There we go. Okay. Well, next one. The abominable Dr. Phoebe. I always said Phoebes, but I was Phoebes. Disfigured man seeks revenge on a doctor he blames for his wife's death using biblical plagues. Key moments: the bizarre death traps, Phoebes' final act of entombing himself, and then Price speaks only through lip syncing. His character is mute. The film became a cult classic for its campy style. I fucking don't like this movie.
Yeah, this was a
This is a tough watch.
yeah,
Go
'cause
ahead,
I'm,
this is
I'm
one-
glad
this is
I'm
one
not
that-
alone in this.
Yeah, this is one that got recommended a lot. Like, oh, Abominable
Yeah.
Dr. Phoebes. And I'm
Yeah,
like,
I know.
okay. And then I watched it and I was like, what the fuck? First of all, his method of killing people is so like unreliable. Like it all goes
man.
down without a hitch. But like if I were to just unleash a bunch of bats in your room or a bunch of locusts in your room, there's no real guarantee it's going to kill you, you know?
Yeah.
The whole like, you know, he's drinking from like the fucking back of his neck and stuff, like weird, you know, he's wearing a mask of himself.
This is
It's
an
just-
odd one.
It's an
It's
odd
such a
one.
hodgepodge of ideas, and this is boring. This is probably
Mhm.
the most boring movie on, like, it's weird because as far as like how the story's told, I didn't necessarily think, oh, this is terrible. I just thought, okay, I guess as far as like what they're trying to do, it more or less is aligning, but it's so dull. And I'll say this, what part of what was throwing me off is I hated the way he looked, and throughout the movie, it was like it was hard to get past it. He looked so goofy that any semblance or attempt at making this disturbing or scary was just out the window, because it's like it's such a stupid hairdo that clashes horribly with the makeup. But yeah, it's a dumb movie. It's boring. Like I totally agree with it. So like the methods of killing are like ridiculous and utterly unreliable. I think it's I can't believe how many people like this movie. I don't get it. I don't get it.
I don't know if this is skip it. This might be like, I don't know. It's not best watched with friends. Like, what is definitely more appropriate.
But I mean, it's no longer skip it. It's just that the price was wrong.
Price is wrong. The price is wrong for sure. Okay. There's a hilarious thing where like Meg has like a phobia of puppets, you know? So anytime puppets come on, it's like change it. And we put on this movie, and the first thing that happens is he's playing with like a fucking puppet band, you know? They're like playing music with him and shit. It's like, what?
Like, it's funny is you know where it's at on the list. Like, if someone were to ask me what's better, this or Madhouse, I'd be like, Dr. Phibes is better, but Madhouse is better to watch. It's more entertaining to watch, as bad as it is. Like, this is nowhere near as bad as Madhouse, but I would rather watch Madhouse because this is just so drab.
Yarn Witch said, think it's a movie that people say they like just because Price was in it. I think,
maybe because he's attempting a lot of this physical acting that I guess if you were just to see imagery, you might think, ooh, that looks spooky. But it's like, yeah, but when you watch the whole movie, it's like, this is really boring.
It falls apart.
Kind of cringy, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah. I don't think it holds up. I didn't like it the first time I saw it years ago. I was like, ugh.
It comes off like a bad stage production at times.
That's actually pretty good. Like, you're 100% agree with you on that one, Gordon. I actually thought one of you, and by one of you, Enzo would be like, "No, this movie's awesome."
Yeah, I was, because like when you tweeted the stream out, that one guy said this was his favorite of the bunch, and I'm like, am I gonna be the only one who thinks this movie's kind of trash?
Yeah, maybe it's because I heard a lot of hype about it. I was expecting like something better, but I remember being very like visibly confused by this one. Campy, and this is one of those ones. It's like it's a cult classic, but not for the right reasons, you know.
No, he has way better movies than this.
I like Monster Club way more than that one. Dr. Phibes.
Yeah.
Now,
I agree.
This one, I think is really good.
Yeah.
This is of the horror movies, this is among my favorites, if not my favorite. Because as far as
Edgar Allan
this
Poe.
This is the one that I thought was the most unsettling, because this one did like all the cult stuff and like the demonic stuff. I was like, this one kind of got under my skin a bit.
Yeah. Also, blatant outward satanic worshiping. You know, that's always fun.
And watching like an innocent person get like corrupted and stuff like that. Like, this one made me genuinely uneasy to watch. And storytelling wise, there's a few leaps that it takes here and there. I still think, like, I don't know how I feel about the choice of, like, you know, him going out into the woods and you see the hooded figures and all that. I probably would have excluded the hooded figures from the movie. I don't think they help it all that much, but everything else about this movie I thought was really, really strong. And I think Vincent Price's acting is spectacular in this.
Yeah.
This was just top to bottom, maybe my favorite of the horror movies. I thought this was really good.
I love the big dance of death at the end. It's so like 60s, you know.
It was like what Bill Burr called those Eyes Wide Shut parties. It kind of reminded me of that in a way.
I also love how why don't we ever see the Grim Reaper like wearing red because of this story? Like, it's such a great, it's a good color.
I don't know why. Red is a common color used in horror movies to symbolize things. There's red doors, red hands, red gloves. Even if you look at the Frankenstein trailer for the new Frankenstein movie coming out, he's wearing red gloves that are very bright red to contrast the settings and stuff. So I don't know why red is never utilized more. Even Crimson Peak, you look at Crimson Peak, look at red utilized in there. But what we're talking about is the Masque,
Masque, yeah.
Masque, the Red Death. A sadistic prince shelters in his castle from a deadly plague while holding masquerades. This is an Edgar Allan Poe story. Key moments were the symbolic
Decadent
arrival.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Decadent.
Uh, I know speak English. The symbolic, which I don't. The symbolic arrival of death in the castle of death in red. The plague ravaging the castle. Trivia: known for its rich, color-saturated cinematography, and Price plays the villainous Prince Prospero. I think
Yeah,
is it right?
and he's playing, I think, arguably the most, at least out of this group of movies, I think it's the most evil character that he
Yeah.
plays by far, and he's fantastic in it. I mean, it's just like I said, like this. Most of the horror movies you're watching, and there's this kind of thing where you're like, oh, okay, I can see how other movies took some inspiration from this, but none of them are really all that scary. This was the one that I was like, I'm feeling things watching this that I
Yeah.
associate with good horror. This is a good movie. I really enjoyed it.
So yeah, the like a couple tropes. Like first of all, like I said, the Grim Reaper not wearing black is a good, out of the box type thing. Another one I loved was like usually satanic, the Satan worshippers. It's always like they're worshiping the devil in secret, and it's a big reveal at the end, that they're satanic. But I love how this guy's like, nope, it's all for Satan. It's all for the devil. Hell yeah, I worship the devil. It's just
Yeah,
like,
and
out
it's
in the
not
open.
like the blatant, like overt stuff where it's like, oh,
Yeah.
people are like killing
all
this person. Killing.
gothy.
It's like, no, it's like kind of pseudo sexual in a way. It's
Partying.
like,
We're
oh, it feels,
partying.
it feels like you're watching like a Hollywood
wide
secret
shut.
society in a way.
So the most important question is, where does it go on the must watch? Because I honestly think this is a must watch. Does it go before Theater of Blood or after?
For me, this right now would be my number one. Right now, it'd be
Okay.
my number one.
Yeah,
I
put it
would
over
agree
Theater
with
of
you.
Blood.
I preferred it. I would probably reach for it before going back to Theater of Blood. So, all right.
Because Theater of Blood was like kind of wacky,
Yeah,
Mhm.
I mean, and it's like Theater of Blood is probably the most fun movie out of his top ones, but this is like one of like the top like 2 or 3 movies of the whole list. I really like this movie a lot.
The next one is The Last Man on Earth, 1964, which has been remade quite a few times. A plague turns humanity into vampiric creatures. Price plays a lone immune survivor. Most common remake is the I Am Legend runs.
Mhm.
The reveal is that he is the monster in the eyes of the infected. His tragic death. Trivia: first adaptation of Richard Matheson's I Am Legend book, influenced by George Romero's Night of the Living Dead. I
Yeah,
love this movie. I think this is great.
I thought I don't think it's quite on the same tier as the highest.
I think it's
ones.
a pretty good. I think
It's a pretty. I would say this is a pretty good movie. It has, as far as just story concepts, it's like top 2 or 3. And I think the beginning, I think it starts really strong, and I think it ends really strong. I think the middle is where it's kind of dull, kind of weak. So it's like I would just rate it as a pretty good movie, but I did really like it, and I think it's one of the better acting roles that he had in this group. But yeah, this is a solid movie. I really like it.
This is one of the few times where I like Vincent Price as like a lead like protagonist. He does a very good job, because the thing is, I think Vincent Price is like, he's a huge guy. So I think he's more imposing as like darker villainous characters, but like in this one,
He was like 6'4", I think.
Yeah, he's
big.
huge. So it is kind of weird to see him pretend to be this like helpless guy, wandering around the apocalypse. But like the fact that he's so big, it doesn't. I mean, he works a lot by himself, and he's got a lady companion in a lot of scenes. But like, yeah, I think acting wise, like he does a really good job in this one.
Poster's great too. And again, I think this is I don't like the I Am Legend movies. This has been remade again before I Am Legend, though. I
like
believe.
Omega Man with
Omega.
with Rutger
That's
Hauer.
Yeah, that's the first one I saw of this, and then I went back and watched this one. I actually prefer this one a little bit more so, but yeah, and it's very low budget, you could tell, but it works. It works with what they have. So I agree with you both. I think it's not a must watch like the Masque of Death or Theater of Blood, but to me it's a pretty good movie. So I'm gonna put it in. It's our first pretty good.
Yeah. This was also the first, other than Edward Scissorhands, which I had already seen before. This was the first of the movies that I watched.
I think I have.
So the fact that it left an impression is a good thing.
So, all right, maybe that was a little lame. All right, next movie. The Haunted Palace. Another Edgar Allan Poe, inspired by H.P. Lovecraft's The Case of Charles Dexter Ward. The man inherits the curse of an estate. Which when I got this, I was like, wait a minute, but it says Edgar Allan Poe on the Price transformation into the warlock ancestor, villagers' assault on the palace, marked as a Poe adaptation, but really based. Oh, Lovecraft shows you I didn't read my fucking trivia. Vincent Price plays a dual role. This I think skip it.
I think out of the 19 movies, this one I would like. Cause actually, after I watched the last one today, I did my top 10. So the 10th one would literally be the middle movie in the whole list. This is that.
Mm-hmm.
I think it is. It has some really good things about it. I think it has some really dumb things about it. I like the concept. I think there's things they probably should have focused on a little bit more. And I think really near the end of the movies, or probably the last like 30 minutes of the movie, it kind of just meanders and doesn't really know what it's trying to. Because it's like, okay, this evil guy's trying to come back, and it's like, why? It's like, well, he wants revenge on this town. It's like, how's he gonna do that? It's like, it never really gives a good solid answer. I don't recall. So yeah, it's not a terrible movie. It's just very middle of the road. It's very meh.
Yeah, it didn't keep my attention very much. What's up, Hook? H.P. Lovecraft. I love his cat. What's up, Enzo? What about this movie?
Yeah,
Enzo?
I agree. It's pretty middle of the road. I do like. This is another one of those movies I feel like could be remade, and you can improve upon it.
Okay.
Because like you've got this like kind of a Crucible style setting where a guy is burned to the stake and he comes back, but it's then you go to the town like generations later, and it's like the same exact cast. And everyone's playing like the same exact roles from before, like my grandfather founded this town and now I'm the mayor of the town or whatever, it's just weird. My grandfather owned this tavern, it's my great grandfather, and now here I am also running the tavern or whatever. It's just strange. And then relative of Vincent Price's character shows up and I guess goes into his old haunted castle and gets I guess possessed by the spirit of his ancestor. And that was fun, like whenever he's in evil mode, like he's got like all this foundation on all of a sudden, and you could tell he's evil now. That was good. But yeah, this was like something like grandma would have found really creepy in the 60s, like, oh no, this is too much, I'm like, no, this is silly. My mom, one of her scariest movies she ever saw, she always brings it up, is The Screaming Skull, which if you've seen it, it's fucking stupid. So, it's like, yeah, okay.
Different generations, though. Yeah. Like the 60s and 70s, what they take as to be horror, looks like, PG horror, G horror to us nowadays. Well,
again, which is why we go back to Theater of Blood. That's why I was shocked by how violent it was.
Well, in some cases, the 70s and 60s were even darker than what modern time is. So it can go vice versa, I feel. With
but
it.
Yeah, like I don't know. I would put it. I don't know if to put it like at the bottom of pretty good, or the top of best enjoyed with friends. I don't think it's skippable. I think it's still a good Vincent Price performance.
We need like a secondary name for the third category, where keep like meh / best enjoyed.
It's meh.
There you go. Meh.
It's and I mean I would put it above Monster Club, but because I'm like, it's not bad enough to where I'd skip it. It's not good enough for me to call it pretty good. It's just like, it's like meh, give or take.
I would put it there because I don't think it's on the same vein as The Last Man on Earth.
No, it's definitely not. It's definitely not that good.
The Price is wrong. I don't think it's bad. Definitely the two in the bottom are ones I would never reach for again. But I agree with you, Enzo. Like, if it was remade, I think it fixed some points of it. It probably would do well. But so yeah, okay, we'll put it in meh. Meh. Good with friends. Yeah. Take some shrooms. You're good. Yeah. Okay. Not that I'm advocating for drug use, folks.
I am. Do drugs.
Portobello mushroom.
Portobello mushrooms. Yes. The Raven, 1963, a horror comedy loosely based on Poe's poem involving rival magicians. Key moments: the wizard duel between Price and Boris Karloff. The humorous transformation of the Raven features a young Jack Nicholson, by the way, for
Yeah.
folks, and most comedic than most Poe's adaptation. So this is not. It's like horror comedy, I would say. I don't know.
Yeah, it was kind of jarring. It was like because I've heard the Raven. I don't recall the Raven by Edgar Allan Poe being comedic, and this one like right away is kind of
It was
goofy
an
and
interesting
funny,
take.
and I was like,
Yeah.
okay, and it. I mean, it's kind of all over the place a little bit as an adaptation. It's not terrible to watch though. It was like it kept me more or less invested, particularly like once they get to Karloff's estate, and you introduce like the evil wife and everything like that. I mean, basically finding out like the wizard's like a giant cuck or something like that. But it's like it's not an awful movie, but like it's teetering between a meh and a bad movie.
Yeah.
I liked it enough to where I would say it's worth watching like once.
Yes.
But it's a
Yeah,
goofy
I can
film.
agree with that.
It's totally worth watching because of the big wizard battle at the end,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, like, this movie is like less of a horror movie and more of like one of his like fantasy films with like a kind of horror kind of atmosphere. It's almost like like some of his Dungeons and Dragons type movies. It's kind of
That's what I was thinking when I was watching it too, and so I was like, "This is definitely like a D&D like thing
It
going
has
on
more
here."
of like a medieval kind of vibe with like a little nothing like if you're expecting like Edgar Allan Poe's The Raven. No, this is nothing.
No.
Yeah, this is like I don't know. Yeah, somewhat a spiritual prequel or something. I don't know how you describe it. It has nothing to do with Edgar Allan Poe's The Raven. And also,
Like when you first hear the Raven speak, it's jarring. It's like, what?
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
'cause the accent is so funny, and I was like, what's like when Peter Lorre starts talking because he just sounds like Peter Lorre, and you're like, what the heck is going on right now? Why is this being funny all of a sudden?
Well, see, like I said, I watched these in order.
Chronological, yeah.
And the one before that, I think it was Tales of Terror, right? Where it's like same cast basically doing the anthology.
Yes,
Same.
I
Yeah,
think you're
yeah,
right.
yeah. I think that was fun seeing everybody, the gang, back together again. For this Raven movie. I was like, oh, okay, this is neat.
So would we put it in meh, or would we put it in Price is Wrong?
Meh.
Yeah, man, I wouldn't put it in Prices Wrong. I thought it was
Before
fun.
Monster Club or after?
After. I think Monster Club so far is like top of the. I love Monster Club, but yeah, no, right, that's good. Under it.
Okay, all right. Next, speaking of Tales of Terror, 1962 anthology of 3 Edgar Allan Poe stories, each with Price in a different role. Key moments: the comedic duel in The Black Cat, the chilling hypnosis in the fact in the case of Valdemar. I think that's how. Co-stars Peter Lorre and Basil Rathbone. As the stories mix horror and dark comedy, so that makes sense with it being back to back with The Raven. Then, and so with the timeline,
The difference being, this one's actually quite good.
I love this one.
This one is. I was like, for anthology horror, I mean, nothing is especially like scary, but this feels more like Edgar Allan Poe stuff.
Yes,
The stories are all all the stories are really interesting. All the actors are really bringing it. I quite enjoyed this. Like, okay, put it this way. Like, part of me is inclined to just put this at the top of pretty good, and yet at the same time, I like it significantly more than Theater of Blood, just on a favorites.
would put it
Like,
in
if I was just
must-watch.
rating favorites. So yeah, it's like I'm a little torn because like, okay, if like this is one of my top 4 personally out of his movies, and I'm like, yeah, this I really enjoyed this one. It was
Yeah, and
fun.
also this is good because like all 3 stories are good. Usually with anthologies, like there's like a hit and miss kind of thing. But I like all 3 stories. I do like the Black Cat story best. But
that one's cool.
They're fun, and they were nice. There was like a level of like they were still kind of grounded. It wasn't too out there. But yeah, Vincent Price is like in all 3 of the stories. He's great. I mean, that's just why I would put it as essential. Vincent Price watching.
Yeah,
I,
I'm totally fine with that because it's a good movie. It's a really good movie.
So I'm gonna throw a curveball in this. I think Edward Scissorhands should be moved down to pretty good, and I think Tales of Terror should be moved into the must-watch space of it. Because the more I
mean-
look at this, I don't feel Edward Scissorhands is on par with Theater of Blood, Masque of Death, and I don't think it's a bad movie. I grew up with it, but I don't feel. I think it's a pretty. The more I look at it, I think it feels it's more should be in the pretty good.
I mean, I personally like Edward Scissorhands more than Theater of Blood, but at the same time, I don't necessarily disagree because it's not as essential if you're trying to decide what Vincent Price movies do I want to watch. And Edward Scissorhands is not. I mean, he's in it, but it's not a Vincent Price movie.
So I would almost
there's nothing landmark about him being in it. It's more just. I mean, it's great. It's an introduction to him that a lot of young people have already gotten and probably will get in the future. But as far as like the Vincent Price showcase movies, yeah, it's because it's. I do think it's a better movie than some of the ones that we have in the top tier. But as far as like must watch Vincent Price, it's like not necessarily.
So then, Tales of Terror, I would actually put in the must watch.
Yeah,
totally
as a
fine
Vincent
with that.
Price movie. Okay, we'll put that here. Ta-da!
It's one of the better anthology movies I've seen, really. I mean, it's like, because I started thinking after I watched this of just anthology films in general. Some are really silly. A couple of them, like one or two of them he did in this. You have more modern ones like Sin City. This one's really strong amongst that lot.
Yeah. We are halfway through the list. Thank you everybody who's tuned in. You guys are awesome. 42 of you watching throughout X and YouTube. Please make sure you hit that like button. If you're tuning in for the first time, please subscribe. The 40% of you that watch, I know. I do my analytics, I know. And helping me get to that 1K marker. I appreciate you all. And thank you to my mods who are dropping links in the chat. You guys are awesome as well. All right. Let's get into the next one, which is The Pit and the Pendulum. 1961. Man investigates his sister's mysterious death in a castle haunted by torture devices and madness. Key moments: pendulum, torture scene, the shocking final twist. One of Corman's best reviewed Poe adaptations. Price unhinged performance was critically praised. Gord, I'm curious.
Actually, you start with Enzo. I actually kind of have to refamiliarize myself a little bit with this
Enzo,
one.
go for it.
I like this one. I thought it was okay. It's not. I do love the Lance Henriksen Pit of the Pendulum movie a lot more.
Okay,
from the
yeah, I can
80s.
see that.
But yeah, this one is it's meh. I thought it was pretty. I wouldn't say it was pretty good. But it does.
I agree. It's a forgettable one.
It's a run by the numbers. Like even Gord's like trying to remember what happened.
Remember it.
But yeah, I mean Vincent Price is great hamming it up and everything. But yeah, it's just like most of it takes place in a creepy castle, and it's a bunch of it's all the big shocking twist is like there's a bunch of sleeping around adultery type things, and I don't know, everyone's a whore basically.
Yeah, this one just did very little for me. I thought it was a kind of one of those missed opportunity type films. If I'm remembering correct, because there's two in particular that I was trying to make sure I didn't mix up. This, yeah, I think I rated this as kind of a bad movie, not a terrible one, but a 4 out of 10 type film. I don't think it's in any way essential. It's certainly not among
The Price is Wrong.
I personally would probably put it at the top of The Price is Wrong. I don't think it's a good movie, and it's very forgettable. This is apparent.
And so, would you be on The Price is Wrong?
Sure. Yeah, we could put it there.
All right. House of Usher, 1916. Not to be confused with The Fall of the House of Usher by Mike Flanagan. Based on Poe's story, a man visits an eerie Usher estate to discover his betrothed family curse. Key moments: the mansion's fiery destruction, Madeline Usher's resurrection, trivia, first of Roger Corman's Poe film starring Price, and shot in just 15 days on a small budget. And boy, oh boy, can you tell.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Jesus.
I would say this one, I think had because I don't think it's bad. I think this one's right down the middle, 5 out of 10-ish. And it's kind of disappointing because I thought there was a lot of potential with the story. I think though it has one of the it has a really poorly implemented idea of like mechanically where he's like, I can't let this guy marry my sister because then the evil spreads. And I'm like, you're telling me that the entire bloodline of this house doesn't go out and spread? Are you kidding me right now? That doesn't make a lick of sense to me. But yeah, it's just, I came away from this just thinking, well, it's fine. It's not great. I think it's worth a watch, but it was one of those things where I was like, like the idea was intriguing enough to where it's like, okay, now I want to watch Mike Flanagan's adaptation. I've heard some good things about it. Because I think there's a lot you could extract from this, but this movie's version of it is very mediocre.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say it's better than Pit and the Pendulum. But,
Yeah.
not by much. But yeah, I mean, I do like I said, I think Vincent Price works best as like, the main character is Mark Damon, who's not related to Matt Damon. But Vincent Price is like
he is really good in it, by the way. This is one of the
yeah.
few movies where Vincent's the lead and he gets outshone by another kid. Like Damon's great in this movie.
Yeah, like
that kind of stunned me how good he was.
He's technically the main guy. He's the protagonist. He's the one that's trying to unravel the mystery and save the Betty. And Vincent Price is just like a cadre old bad guy with a curse on his name,
I mean, he's not. I mean, like he's a complex bad guy. That's kind of why I thought the movie was sort of disappointing. Is like they could have made him so much more interesting because like he has a genuine burden in his life where he's trying to keep this out and everything. But it's just like it's done in a way that where oddly I think Damon's carrying the movie in a lot of ways. Like he's easily the most interesting thing about this movie.
It was a fun, fun heroic kind of story. Also, this whole like uncover the mystery, that was like a nice his girlfriend kind of dies like a little early and you're like this doesn't feel right pacing wise, and of course it's a big conspiracy.
You can tell it was shot in 15 days even now. Like it's just I like Edgar Allan Poe stories just as much as I love H.P. Lovecraft stories. I have the books, love them, grew up with it. But
that was another Roger Corman movie too, right? Roger Corman just knew how to. He had like assembly line level like work crews that were able to just churn out movies professionally.
And he uses the same actors.
Yeah.
Kind of eerie, similar to Flanagan does.
Right. Yeah. And Jack Nicholson, he was a early Corman regular, and Vincent Price,
which I didn't realize he was that old. I was like, is that Jack Nicholson for a second?
Yeah.
And then I had to look it up, and it was like, wow.
He's so young.
I didn't believe and how old that movie is. But I agree with you. I kind of feel like this movie should be end of best enjoyed with friends, meh, top of maybe The Price is Wrong.
Yeah, I'm fine. I think meh. I would put it firmly in meh, like because I think it's better than Monster Club and even slightly more worth watching just for the concept and for some of the performances. But it is very much a meh film.
I would rather watch Monster Club again than this, though.
Like Monster Club is like I guess like my reason is like if I'm picking just on my own, which how I watch most movies, I'm picking this. Because whereas Monster Club I wouldn't watch at all. Whereas if it's with friends, I probably would lean towards Monster Club, but I could pick either. So,
how about right here? Would this work? Right in the middle between these two?
That's fine.
Okay. All right. We're pretty civil over here. We don't really argue about this stuff. The next one, House on Haunted Hill. OG. This is a must-watch. Yeah. Synopsis: millionaire invites guests to a haunted house with a cash prize if they survive the night. Floating skeleton finale. The twist involving Price's character orchestrating the events. Cult classic directed by William Castle. One of Price's most iconic roles. And I think I have, because I saved it, because I think this was in my top personal top, like whatever list we did. I hope I kept it. But yeah, I love this movie. I'm with Leon. I like the remake for different reasons. The remake's definitely more comedic in my opinion than this one.
Jeffrey Rush's like roller coaster would never fly. Like that would never. What the hell?
That would never work with it. But I think
the
this
remake. I hate the remake.
It's different.
It's
here we go. One second.
I don't even care about.
mean,
Sorry, Cord.
that is
No, you're
genuinely
fine.
freaky to see that, but like, I don't know, women full-throated screaming, that might be a bit much. But yeah, if I turned around and saw that, I'd be like, holy shit, are you okay? And then she started to float away like that, I would be like in stunned silence, like, I think that would be my genuine reaction right there, but still freaky.
I think, yeah. Like, the funny thing is, like, okay, I have 5 of these movies rated over this, but if someone were to tell me what's the first Vincent Price movie somebody should watch, it'd be this. This is
House
the
on Haunted Hill,
introductory.
100%, yeah.
To me, this is the movie to introduce someone to Vincent Price. It is all around a really solid movie.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun atmospherically. I think the actors are all doing their thing. It's a very simple concept. It's just fun. This is a really fun movie, and it's nothing too complex. I mean, yeah, some of the effects are pretty dated, and some of the scares, when you go back in hindsight, maybe don't hold up super duper well. But I mean, as a concept and as an idea, I think it works pretty daggone well. It's one that you can enjoy with friends. It's one you can enjoy on your own. This is an all around solid movie. I really like it, and I'm fine putting it in must watch.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm using my one. It's going in must watch.
Yeah.
It's going in must watch. This is an iconic Vincent Price movie. I know, Gord, you didn't like the remake. The remake is a little different because it's more comedic. I don't know why you didn't like.
I mean, like,
watching
I
Tom
don't.
Wolfe
I
get
mean,
his
like,
head
how
chopped off,
well
but hey.
a remake adapts a piece of material is never all that big a concern of mine. I actually prefer when remakes are different. It's just, you still got to do it well. I mean, like, Lilo and Stitch has differences in its live action versus animation. It's still a piece of garbage. But, so
I
it's
would
like,
put this above Tales of Terror.
Yeah.
I mean, personally, I'd put Tales of Terror higher, but I'm fine with the distinction because to me, it is. I'll be honest. Out of these 4 movies at the top, I'd actually put it ahead of Theater of Blood too.
All right. Hey,
Because I think it's the first Vincent Price movie I would show someone. It's the first one I would show.
It's
I
in my
agree.
top 20 of all time. So
Yeah, and it's all great because it's all just because, Vincent Price is just he just hates his wife. It's just such a great like that's like the whole motivation for the whole movie. It's like this whole shit about ghosts in a haunted house, it's irrelevant. Vincent Price hates his wife with a passion.
Like, and it's a really good blend of, like, it's a little bit of the campiness, but a little bit of the earnestness of a serious movie, and it's blended really well.
I love the skeleton wire work. That's my
Yeah.
favorite part of this movie.
This is
It's
the movie
great.
that made me think that every mansion had like a vat of acid somewhere hidden
Yes.
inside. You're like
As mine
100%.
will.
the acid pool.
Yeah, if I were to pick like top 3 movies for Vincent Price for people to see, would be House of Haunted Hill, Last Man on Earth, and then the next one we're going to be talking about, which is really one of my favorites too, which is The Fly. This 1958, a scientist turns into a fly human hybrid after a teleportation experiment goes wrong. Key moments is the chilling "help me" scene with the fly-headed human. Tragic ending as the creature is killed. Price plays the scientist's brother. He reportedly bursts out laughing during the infamous "help me" scene during the film. This movie fucked me up as a kid. I saw this way too. The whole ending of like "help me,"
Yeah.
it stays with you if you've
the
seen it way
it's
too
the
long.
classic parodied scene, where if you hadn't seen the movie before, you would watch it and be like, "Oh, that's where all these references come from."
Yes.
But I was watching it for the first time all the way through. It's one of those movies that you knew most of the mechanics of it, mostly because of that great Simpsons parody they did of it. But yeah, you keep thinking about like how when I'm talking about some of these other Vincent Price like bottom tier movies, how like this would be good remade, like the style of The Fly. Like David Cronenberg was like watching this and thinking, or whoever came up with the idea of remaking The Fly was like, there's something really cool we could do here, like it's just a great idea. And when you watch the original Fly after the fact, you realize like, yeah, it does come off as a little hokey, a little rushed, a little silly, but the concept is there. Like you have a teleporter and something terrible goes wrong because you had a small oversight of a fly getting in the chamber with you. It's just great. And of course, like he comes out with a fly head and the fly hand, and he's got to communicate with his wife on the chalkboard or whatever. and he's not. She's the most obedient, most crazy, understanding wife who just like does what she's told no matter what. It's insane. But I did watch the Fly sequel too, which was awful. Because
no.
yeah, but yeah, I thought this movie was awesome because it made me really appreciate the remake so much more because of like what they did with the source material.
Yeah,
You're like, bro, yeah, that's how you remake a movie.
Well,
so
it's funny because we were just talking about like one movie, House on Haunted Hill getting adapted from something else. I think the remake destroys this movie. I don't think this is a bad movie by any stretch, but
yeah,
I think it starts off pretty dang interesting. I don't think it gets into like the first 10 minutes I was very much in. I don't think it picks up again until like the last 20 minutes of the movie. I found this version kind of average at the end of the day. Like it is a really strong concept, but holy crap, the lull between the beginning and the end, I was like, this is just kind of ground to a halt. We're not really exploring like all the ins and outs of like what this could be like, because I'm thinking it's hard not to think of David Cronenberg's version, which explores all these various aspects of his transformation and what it does to him physically and what it does to him, biologically. It's such like the David Cronenberg Fly is one of his best movies, period.
Totally.
But this version, I was just like, this is just kind of mediocre. I was like, I mean, granted, this is the kind of movie I'd like to see get remade, where you have this great idea and maybe it wasn't executed super well, and then someone else comes along and doesn't. It's like, boom, nailed it. That's what this had the potential to be. And to me, this is the blueprint for what became a much better movie later.
Yeah, there's like extended scenes of like a family chasing a fly with a white head around a house. It's like, okay, dude, like we gotta fight.
I do think this is a movie that I'm not gonna go say it's a must watch, but it's definitely not one to skip because I think it is good to see this and understand where we got the remake. But just as an individual film, I was just kind of like, it's okay, it's kind of mediocre. I don't know if I would ever watch it again.
I love Cronenberg's, and I don't like Cronenberg films. I will watch The Fly because I think it's a tragic love story.
It's very tragic. Holy crap! Like you have this hideous monstrosity at the end, and you're almost in tears over it when he like takes the gun and points at his head. It's like, oh man, I'm feeling things for this horrible like blob mutation monster that's barfed on this guy's leg and it came up. It's so disgusting that you're like, wow, Cronenberg, well done.
He gets his brains blown out and then the credits just roll. Like he doesn't give you a second to like breathe and collect yourself.
But I don't like body horror. That's the type of body horror I don't like. The pustule, like grossness to it. But for that, I would accept it because I love the story so much and because I love the original so much as well. I was willing to give it a try.
Body horror works better. Like that's the idea is like The Fly remake works because he comes out of the telepod and he transforms slowly. In the original, we don't even see him go in the telepod. Like one day he's just like not answering the door and he's like, I'm only going to talk to my wife in writing, in written notes because and my head's in a fucking covered in a bag or whatever. I mean, it's just silly. But yeah, like the remake of The Fly is so scary because it communicates to us that it's not body horror, like getting a deadly disease or cancer or something. That is a type of body horror. Your body's doing something you don't want it to do. The Fly just really communicates to people on that instinctive level. Whereas this one is more like, my husband's been turned into a monster, like overnight. And
I could see that.
And we're mostly focusing on the wife character, and Vincent Price is the brother who's trying to, basically like speak for the husband and, work is kind of like, this is the way we can get the human husband and the monster husband at the same time by introducing like the uncle, who's played by Vincent Price, and he just kind of does the mediator role.
I think I just have such a nostalgia for that scene because it haunted me as a kid. It gave me nightmares. The whole
I honestly
scene.
I think part of what have made this, because what's kind of different about this one as opposed to the Cronenberg one is this one's almost like this one's kind of heavily focused on almost like the legal side of it. Is like, what if the law discovered, because like I said, in that verse, those opening minutes, you see this guy dead in that hydraulic press and you're like, oh crap, that's pretty hardcore. And then they're kind of like, okay, what's her role in this, and there's this legal aspect they're kind of exploring, and I'm like, okay, that's different than the Cronenberg version, but there's a lot you could extract from that. But it feels kind of basic and bare bones. And like I said, just from that first 10 minutes to those last 20 minutes, I was just kind of bored and waiting for the movie to pick back up again. It just, like, I barely remember anything from that whole section of the movie, but I remember the beginning. I remember the last 20 minutes are really, really good. And that does save the movie. But there was a point in this movie for a little while I was like, oh gosh, did he remake a bad movie and make it good? But overall, I would still say it's meh, but it's, it's still there's a lot of good stuff that can be extracted from the good bits.
It gets a lot of bonus points for, like, the originality of the concept of, like, just thinking of teleporters in the 60s and how that could go wrong and all that stuff, because that's always great when, like, we're popping champagne because we've done it, we've made the invention, and then it's the beginning of a horror movie. That's always fun. But, like, the original Fly is more of, like, a story about, like, assisted suicide, if you think about it. It's more about, like, that kind of vibe. Imagine if the remake started out with, like, a Columbo type character at the warehouse, like, looking at the remains of the fly creature with his head blown off. He's like, so what's going on here? And we have to piece it together, like, backwards using Gina Davis's, like, accounts and recounts and flashbacks, and like, that would be weird. It's one of those movies where, like I said, I enjoyed watching it for the first time because it really made me appreciate the remake so much more. You're like, damn, dude, they really ran with it.
So where is it going, guys? Is it going best enjoyed with friends, or is it going at the end of pretty good? Because I think it's a must watch, but I used my one.
I personally would put it at the top of meh, because I do think there is a pretty there's a gap between this and, like, Last Man on Earth, and Edward Scissorhands. Like, whereas it feels like a really strong concept, and we do have this other movie that used the same concept and did it significantly better. But there's enough in it to where I'd be like, yeah, watch it. It's definitely worth a watch. But I wouldn't go I can't go so far as to put it as a good movie.
What do you think, Enzo?
I'm leaning more towards the end of pretty good, because
I am too. Two versus one.
Because like I said, like, I don't know what it was like to watch it in the 60s, but I'd imagine, like, people were having a hard time, like, wrapping their head. It is like the Matrix, like, finding out you're plugged into a machine. It's like, wait a minute, there's a teleporter, and, like, if two animals go in the teleporter at once, it's bad. Like, I'd imagine people were kind of grasping with that kind of thought for the first time. Like, someone came up with that idea, That was a good one. You're thinking outside the box here with your storytelling.
Well, it's going at the end of pretty good, unless, Gord, you want to use your one.
I don't imagine I'm going to get a lot of pushback for the one. I'm probably it's like, I wondered about Masque of the Red Death, if I'd get any pushback on that. Glad to see I didn't. I don't think I'm going to get pushback on the other one I'm particularly strong on, so I will use that to move it down to meh.
Where on the meh list?
Top. Very top.
Okay. Enzo, you can move back if you want, or you can hold on.
Fine.
Okay. All right. Next one is The House of Wax, which is the Paris Hilton. It was shot in 3D, by the way. Stereo Vision 3D. Disfigured sculptor reopens his wax museum by using real human bodies under wax. Key moments reveal of wax figures being actual corpses. The climactic fire and destruction of the museum. The first 3D color feature from a major American studio. Price's performance launched his career as a horror icon. This is 1953. I think this is best watched with friends. This is my opinion. I really like this movie. I just don't think it's everybody's cup of tea, to be honest.
I don't know. I would argue to put it in essential viewing, but it's too stacked, so I would probably put it in pretty good just because it's kind of empty there. But like
I could see that. Maybe the
trivia
end
says, dude,
good.
The fire scene was like, holy shit! Like, these actors are doing real stunts in a burning down building. Like, that was insanely dangerous looking. The
only thing that holds this movie back is there's just no hiding the plot twist of him, of the whole using the wax as the mask. It's like, and it's really absurd at the end of the. I mean, it's really
Have you seen the
silly.
remake, Gord, at all?
I never bothered with the remake, which I'm kind of
Alright,
glad.
well,
I'm actually
Not
quite glad I never
2000s
watched
cure. It will be on the list because it's
Yeah.
it. Um,
yeah.
but at
Is
the
it
same
better or
time,
worse? You're not gonna tell me.
Me.
Okay.
I mean, but I would say I still actually had a pretty good time with this.
Yeah.
I would say this one is one of the more influential horror movies he did. Like you can tell movies like Saw got quite a bit of inspiration from this, as well as Theater of Blood. You know, it's like those two I think had a big influence on Saw. And you know what he's doing there at the end. I mean, you got the woman tied up. The implication is she's naked and everything like that. And I was like, wow, this one's actually pushing some boundaries, but in a way that I think is storytelling wise just kind of adds to the horror because you know you're exposing that way. You've got this hot wax, and I'm like, wow, this is actually genuinely freaky. But like it's kind of like I'm torn because like I do think like it could have been maybe a little bit more. It's hard not to be somewhat disengaged because you know just how ridiculous it is that he's able to hide his horrifically scarred face behind a bunch of wax. That's really really
that was
silly.
silly.
It's so silly.
His face like talks and stuff throughout the whole movie, and then it's revealed
yeah.
that he has a wax head. You're like, what?
It's so silly, and you know the whole time it's like we know that's what you're going for. We're not
Yeah,
stupid.
clearly,
So it's an
you're
awful plot twist, and I don't know how you work around it, but at the same time, the rest of the movie is still pretty good. I kind of wish the only thing I would have changed that I think could have sent this over the top was if the revenge angle had been focused on more. That's kind of over and done with at the beginning.
Yeah.
And he just goes on, I guess, killing people, and I'm like, oh, okay, that's interesting. But I liked it. I thought it was pretty strong.
I mean, yeah, I guess it would be a meh movie, but it does get bonus points because, like it says, like it is like his big foray into horror movies, where he nestled for the rest of his life.
So would you guys say maybe the bottom of pretty good?
No, 'cause
I
I'm
think
thinking- I don't think it's as good as The Fly. You know, I think The Fly is better than this.
I think
I
The
agree.
Fly makes more sense. I think this
Yeah.
is more entertaining. I kind of am neck and neck on them. But yeah, I'd
Well,
probably say like
The Fly
top
is-
or near the top
it-
of meh.
So here or here?
I'd probably go behind The Fly.
Yeah.
Okay. Next one. The Bride, 1949. An American federal agent investigates a corrupt arms deal in a fictional Central American country. Tense final confrontation between the agents and the smugglers. Vincent Price's character being revealed as a villainous Carwood. Price's performance adds a sinister flair to the noir tone. The film was shot in a stylized, shadow-heavy style typical of film noir. I could care
Really,
two
like-
shits about this movie. I did
So,
not like this. But
I'm a big
Oh.
fan of film noir. I love film
Uh-huh.
noir. Film, and that's part. I was a little surprised Laura wasn't on here. This is really bad film noir.
Blame
It's-
ChatGPT.
It's not well, and it's not even just bad film noir because conceptually it's really dumb. I mean, holy crap! It's a major plot point that a guy happens to get eaten by a shark, and then his dad wants revenge for him. And I was like, he didn't plan.
I would
it,
never
did he?
reach for this
That's
movie
so
again.
freaking stupid. And the fact that one of the best things about film noirs is just the tragic element to it is usually between either the man or the femme fatale, one or both of them are probably going to die. They sure as heck aren't likely to end up together. The fact that these two characters end up together like really left a bad taste in my mouth not just on a level of like what I appreciate about film noir, but just on a moral level. I was like, what? I was like, there should be a conflict here given that
it's because her
are
husband was a
man of
drunk
the
bad
law.
guy. Her husband was drunk and not, not.
But I mean, she's a
savory.
criminal. Is more the point. Is she still, it's not so much that she was married. I mean, yes, that adds to it, but but she was involved in this. It's like she's a criminal. She's supposed to pay in some way because she did help this happen. I know she's something of a victim, but she's not entirely a victim. But yeah, I just thought that this was really bad film noir that they tried to sell with big actors at the time, and I thought Vincent Price was kind of really underutilized. Because he's playing kind of the primary bad guy, and he's very uninteresting. It's a very uninteresting role. It's not a well written one.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I like the big firework fight chase scene at the end or whatever.
Good idea there at the end. Yeah.
That was like
Yeah.
one of these things where you're like, again, you got real actors like getting like fucking fist fighting and the actual sparklers going off near them. It's fun. And also, yeah, that was another thing that was confusing though. It's like we're having a big parade. We're going to strap a bunch of fireworks to buildings and have them like, emitting sparks like crazy all over like the actual buildings.
Oh, and its dialogue was the dialogue was so try hard. It was just they were inserting all this dialogue trying to sound all Casablanca at times where
dude,
it just never like
yeah.
it's like, guys, you're in a pretty serious situation here. Y'all need to stop quipping. Like him and the woman quipping at one another. I'm like, shut up and do what you're supposed to do right now.
It's old
The
Hollywood.
dialogue's awful in this.
But I got more of an old Hollywood vibe than like a film noir vibe, I just,
Well, I mean, it's trying to be film
yeah,
noir.
exactly.
It's attempting film noir and doing it very badly.
Will we say it's The Price is Wrong?
Yeah, I would say it's
and it's not even.
It's
a horror
arguably
movie.
the worst. It's arguably the worst movie. Now that I think it's like I didn't think that after the first watch. This is one of those movies that the more I thought about it, the more I disliked it. Because I was just like, there's so much about it that doesn't make sense, and it's like I said, just genre-wise, it's a poor imitation of a noir film.
And Enzo's right. It's not really a horror movie.
Yeah,
Film noir. It's got like some dark elements to it, but it's not really well put together on it. Next one is The Long Night.
But see, this one wasn't a horror
1947.
movie either, and I really
Yeah,
like
I
this
know.
one.
crime drama and a good one.
Yeah, I like
A remake
that
of
one.
a French film, Le Jour c'est la vie.
Le jour c'est la vie.
Me. A man trapped by police in his apartment, recalling the events that led to a murder. Flashbacks revealing how a murder happened. Tragic final standoff. Vincent Price plays the manipulative magician Maximilian. The film was criticized for being too close to the original French film, which nowadays, if films are remakes and closer to that, it would be criticized. So I think these movies were on the list because
As if any
even
American
though
audience
they're
gave a
not-
crap about the French version.
even though they're not like true horror, like House of Wax, The Fly, and stuff, they have like elements based on the time that they were released. So 1947, people would say, "Oh, it's a pretty dark film," kind of. Anyway,
I mean, I like that not every movie we're talking about is a horror movie. This is absolutely
Mhm.
not a horror movie, and that's totally fine. It's a crime drama, and it's a solid movie. I quite liked it.
it's pretty
I was-
good.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a great movie. There are better movies of this type out there, but kind of just watching the story unfold and seeing, because you start this movie with he kills this guy and you're like, oh, okay, wow, what's going on? And then he starts going to the backstory of how it all came to be, and it has some very grown up elements to it. The guy's got these women on the side, but he has this one that he's in love with. I mean, Vincent Price playing a magician kind of dates the movie a little bit, because it's like that probably resonates a little bit more with an older audience. They're like, oh yeah, he's a magician. That's fine. Whereas now we'd be like, the master, this really suave guy is a magician. That's cringe. It's I enjoyed it quite a bit. I thought Vincent Price definitely looked like he was having a really good time playing this particular bad guy who's
And it has Henry Fonda in it. Come on, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a well acted movie. I like that the resolution didn't go too sappy. He's like, okay, this guy is going to go to prison in all likelihood, and it's kind of similar to the ending of Baby Driver, where it's like the guy's not a bad guy, but he does have to pay for his crime. And I was like, it's a good movie. I liked it.
Enzo?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. It's definitely better than what was the last one called? Shit.
The Bribe.
The Bribe.
Yes, it was definitely a lot better than The Bribe. But yeah, this is like those two movies were like the first ones I watched, and I was like, did I get the right list? But yeah, I ended up just kind of enjoying this one. Like I said, this was like old Hollywood in a good way, whereas The Bribe was like not so much. But yeah, I would put it maybe in the pretty good section, because it's fun, and I don't know, it's a good, it's kind of hokey, in a good way.
But
Had,
in a good
like,
way. Yeah.
Hallmark.
There are some
Hallmark
dated elements
movie-
to it.
If
but
like Hallmark movies made noir films or tried to do crime dramas,
Yeah.
like
it
this
wasn't
is
a huge
this is
bummer.
one of those movies that, funny enough, even though it is a remake, I think you could remake an even better version of this now and do something more compelling. But for what it is, for its time, it's like, yeah, this, and I would agree even with the placement, like back of the pretty good tier.
All right. We got 2 left. So The Song of Bernadette, 1943, tells the story of Bernadette. I'm not even going to try. The girl who claimed to see a vision of Virgin Mary in Lourdes, France. Bernadette visions and townspeople's skepticisms were key moments. Her canonization at the end. Vincent Price is not in the film, coming pleased with in filmographies. Jennifer Jones won an Oscar for Best Actress in her role. I don't know how this made it on the list.
Vincent Price is not in the movie. Yes, he is.
Yeah, he is.
He is. I don't know what the hell happened there.
What the heck?
Yeah, never mind.
Like, he's very in the movie. He's
I know he's in.
Yeah, it's like, what? Who
All right, discard that. Anyway, thoughts on this one? I think this was a very wild card for me on the list.
If you
okay,
so this is the movie that makes me glad that the stream got delayed because of its length. But seriously, because of the length of the movie, this was gonna be like one of the last. I don't know if I even would have gotten around to it if I hadn't found it on YouTube and realized, oh, I can watch this while I'm at work since I work these long shifts. This is the best movie on the list.
I love it.
Objectively.
Wow.
And it's the best movie on this list. When I saw how many Oscars got nominated afterwards, I was like, that makes sense. Granted, I think, okay, out of the nominees, I am fine with Jennifer Jones winning. It's just that happened to be the year that Casablanca came out and Ingrid Bergman was nominated for a different film instead of that one. So I think she should have been nominated for Casablanca and should have won. But Jennifer Jones is excellent in this. The interesting thing about this movie to me is we would describe this today almost as kind of a message film.
Yeah.
Because it's very overtly Catholic. And
yes.
Like the one thing I would, and I do, by the way, I consider that slightly a flaw because like the one thing I would take out of this movie is the actual visual of her seeing what in the movie they call the Immaculate Conception. I would take that out of the movie and leave it kind of up to the viewer whether or not you believe her story.
Yeah.
But and the movie starts off a little bit slow because at first I was like, okay, is this just about this singular event where she's seeing this thing, or is this about her? It turns out it is about her. It's kind of a biopic. I think the more it went on, the more invested in I got, and I'm not Catholic, and I was like for a while thinking this probably isn't going to resonate very much with me because this movie is very overtly Catholic. But at the same time, I was like, this is an objectively great film. Very strong music, very strong acting. The cinematography for its time is really, really good.
It's based off a true story too, as well.
It is. Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
I think the funny thing is, this is a movie that I thought Vincent Price, he's like, okay, so the guy who plays the father, the Reverend, he got nominated for Best Supporting Actor. I thought Vincent Price should have. I thought his acting was better. I was a little disappointed when I saw he didn't get a nomination for this because I thought his acting was really, really good because he's kind of the primary antagonist and he has one of the more interesting character arcs in the film. But yeah, I was very impressed with this movie when it wrapped up. I was like, wow, I did not think this movie would keep me interested for almost 3 hours, given what it's about, given like the time period it came out, the kind of the dated elements of just filmmaking in general back then. But yeah, the more it went on, the more I got into it. I thought it was very interesting, very touching. Yeah, this is a top, like I would put this on the low end of great films, like an 8 out of 10. I would say this is a must-see film.
Did we lose Enzo? We lost Enzo.
Yeah, he ducked out. What the heck?
He's
Enzo!
Like, I'm out. Jennifer Jones turned 25 the night she won the Best Actress for this movie, and the poster was actually created by famous artist Norman Rockwell. So painted it for it. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's gosh, I was like I said, I if we had done this stream as originally intended, I would not have seen this. And I don't know if I ever would have watched it. And I came away from it very impressed. I was like, wow, and like I said, it is a message film. So I do dock it some points for being so overt with that, but it doesn't do it at the expense of the story. It's just that I would have left it a little bit more up to the viewer. But yeah, I thought it was a great movie. I really thought it was a great movie. And it even works as a movie you should see with Vincent Price because it is such a serious film. He's playing very much, not necessarily against type. He is a villain, but he's playing, he's not playing a horror movie character. He's playing, a skeptic. He's playing a politician. And he's really good. And I guess what impressed me so much about his performance is the fact that this is an Oscar caliber movie with Oscar caliber performances all around it, and he's standing out as one of the best ones. So I was like, yeah, this works on every level.
Yeah. This is one of my grandma's favorite movies, and also my internet dropped out. I don't know what happened.
It's okay. We thought
I didn't hear what Gord King said, but I did like this movie a lot. This was the first movie I watched on the list of rewatching all these. I believe it was, right? Yes. No.
I think it's the
second. It was the second movie I watched. And it was funny because I guess the next movie we talk about was the first one I watched, followed by this one. And it was one of those things that Gord King said. I was like, all right, let's watch this one. This looks random and different. And I was like, oh shit, it's like 2 hours and 40 minutes long. Okay. Hang on. I'll watch it tomorrow.
I was watching it with the attitude of I just need to get this one out of the way. And I was like, oh wow, that was really good.
No, that's the thing, is like I started it at I think I started it like at midnight thinking like, all right, this will be done soon. And I realized like, oh no, this will be done at like 3 a.m. Okay, well, let's do it anyway. Let's see how far I'll get into it. And then I ended up just watching the whole thing in one sitting and just really liking it. A pro-religious, pro-Catholic, pro-God kind of story. That's always fun. And yeah, this movie would be, I think if it came out today or someone tried to remake it,
Mel Gibson.
It would get a lot of angry, angry Twitter posts about it. It's like, calm down. But I do agree with Gord. Like, if this had this kind of like mystery element to it, where we never actually saw, we don't actually see the angels or whatever, or the Holy Mothers like talk to her, I think that would have been better. But yeah, I mean, it was just. I
agree with both of you. It would have been better to remove that because it would fit more in line with the actual real life story and leaving it up to interpretation of when you hear these stories. But sorry, go ahead, Enzo.
And I think that makes for a more interesting dynamic with how you deal with all of the characters, because the fact that you're seeing it and the movie's more or less saying she is right is kind of pitting you in the position where you have to be utterly against everyone opposing her. Yeah. Whereas, now granted, because I'm not an idiot and I can think for myself, I'd be like, no, okay, I can still approach these characters without that level of, overt messaging and whatnot. But it's just the fact that the film is so strongly siding with her in this regard, whereas I think it makes way more sense to let that be ambiguous, to let the viewer decide if you believe her or not, because there are enough things happening around it to make it to where you absolutely could come away believing her. There's more than enough there to where you could come away on her side. But giving you that wiggle room to where you could say, I think maybe she was crazy a bit. I think that makes the movie a lot more interesting, more thought provoking, but still it manages to overcome that on every other level. I was so impressed with it. I really did not expect to feel much at all watching this other than just, okay, good, that's out of the way. But yeah, I came away thinking this is a dang good movie.
As a residential Catholic, I agree. I think it's a must-watch for any Catholics out there.
I mean, it's definitely if you're Catholic, I mean, it's like this is definitely a movie to watch. But even if you're not Catholic, I think it's definitely a worthwhile watch. If you're just a Vincent Price fan, you should watch it. See how he holds up acting-wise against other people in a serious film in a movie that got nominated for 12 Oscars, y'all. I mean, this movie was a big deal when it came out. It won 4. So that was a pretty big deal. It might have even been the Best Picture winner if Casablanca didn't come out that year. Granted, Casablanca is a significantly better film, but that's just because it's one of the top greatest movies ever, period. But you take that one off the list, then this could have very easily been the one that won.
I've never seen Casablanca.
Wow. Oh my gosh. It's arguably the greatest script ever written. The dialogue is just absolute perfection, and it's
on the list to watch. To be honest, I just haven't. With older movies, I have to be in a certain mental state to kind of focus very much on it.
Yeah.
and I just haven't had the time to with everything. But it is on the list. I know people talk very much about it, reference it.
Like
a
I would
lot.
say, as
It's
far as
influenced a
resonating
lot of
with the
movies.
story, it's gonna depend. I would say, like, if you're just trying to resonate with a story on first watch, wait till you're in the movie to watch something kind of tragically romantic.
Mhm. And I don't like romance, so that's a
Yeah,
hard.
you kind of have to
sell
be in
for
the
me.
movie. Well, and it's tragic romance in the sense because of, like, you know, how the movie ultimately sort of, not even necessarily tragic. Maybe it's just unrequited love, I guess, maybe the best way to put it. But it's probably the most quotable movie of all time. Like, I know AFI, when they did their top 100 quotes, it was on there like 6 times because it has so many good lines. It has so many good characters. There's such interesting, like, political complexity. It has one of the most, as far as movies with political moments, it has one of the most rousing moments of that sort in any movie ever. So much so that one of the cast members, like, her crying on screen was totally genuine and they caught it. Yeah, Casablanca is just, it's a masterpiece. It completely lives up to its billing. It pisses me off to no end that Citizen Kane is ever compared to Casablanca or put
That's
ahead
another
of it.
one that I've never seen, Citizen Kane.
I think Citizen
I-
Kane is, objectively, it is a great movie, but I think it's very dull. It's hard for me to connect with the characters. Casablanca, I think, is a much, much better movie.
I'll check them out, but if I don't like either of them, and the fact I don't like Amadeus, you're never coming back on that panel.
If you don't like Casablanca, that's a you problem.
Enzo,
If
what
you don't like
think?
Citizen Kane, we actually would kind of align there. I'm not a big fan of it, and I've seen it like 4 times. But
I would say, yeah, Casablanca is like great script, but Citizen Kane's got like groundbreaking direction, you know. So
yes. On a technical level, Citizen Kane is incredible for its time.
Okay.
But yeah, as far as this movie, yeah, I would put it at the must-watch list as well. Because
Before,
I guess
where do you think?
I mean, I don't know, man, because we're talking about Vincent Price, so obviously, like, the horror movies kind of got to come first, but it is a better movie than most of these. I mean, technically, yeah.
I
guess
mean,
according to
honestly, I
Gore, it
think
should
it's
go on the top. You should go.
Yeah, I
to
mean,
go on top
I
if it goes to
personally
Gore.
think if you're picking the best movie, I think this is the best movie. If you're wanting to see a movie that best represents Vincent Price, you'd probably put this one like second as a good contrast to his, you know, show his range, show him from going from kind of the horror movie stuff like something like Red Mask of Death to Song of Bernadette. I think that offers a good contrast. I'm fine with the idea of putting it second, but I do think objectively it is the best movie on this list. I was very impressed with Song of Bernadette.
Well, you're welcome.
Thank you.
Our last movie is The Invisible Man Returns, 1940. So George Radcliffe, Vincent Price, is wrongly accused of murder and escapes prison using a serum that turns him invisible. Key moments is Radcliffe's escape and gradual descent into madness, the final scene revealing his innocence and regaining visibility. Vincent Price's face is only seen at the very end. The invisibility effects were innovated for their time and earned an Oscar nomination.
I think it won. It won for special effects, didn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I believe it did.
I think, yeah, this movie is
No, it's
near
just
as
nominated.
good as the first one.
No,
It was just
nowhere near.
nominated. You sure?
Just nominated, apparently. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, people
Go ahead,
forget,
Enzo.
People forget that the Invisible Man has the highest body count of any Universal monster.
I like the Kevin Bacon remake, the Hollow Man.
Hollow Man. Hollow Man's great too.
Yeah.
But Hollow Man, he kills like half a dozen people or so.
Yeah.
Whereas the original
Hollow Man's
Invisible
just
Man,
so pervy. It's such a
it is very pervy.
It's a
and
very
it's got the
pervy
best
movie.
special effects. Like the special effects still look fantastic. And it's so like it's got gore in all the right places, but like the original Invisible Man derails a train, and kills like everybody on board.
And I really think the remake one that came out a couple years ago is It's like okay.
Yeah.
I think it's overhyped, to be honest. In
like,
my opinion.
I thought it was better than I thought it was gonna be.
Yeah, better
but
than you think it's gonna be, but it's not at the
it's
level
kind of
that
a one
everybody
and
hypes
done.
it up.
It's just
Yeah, it was kind of a one and done.
What's her name? Elizabeth Moss. She's always like, all of her story, all the movies she's in, she's like this like mid woman who like someone's obsessing over for some reason. They have to have her.
That's a hard
Rebecca
part to
Moss?
buy.
Everybody who says that movie is good is because they reference the one scene, the knife scene at the dinner, and I'm like,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah,
great.
that's easily the
What
best
about
scene in the
what about the rest of the movie?
I do like the
I-
idea of the invisibility suit. Like it's a suit
Yeah.
with like little cameras and all over
Modernizing it
Like
a little
that,
bit, yeah.
That is
Yeah.
cool. Because like the idea of like how does a serum turn you invisible? You know, that just seems it's like we're getting into like almost like supernatural levels here. But yeah, the Invisible Man Returns is just not. It's just not the same because this time, what if the Invisible Man was like a hero? You know, like a kind of a good guy. And also, like, oh, I'm going to use the help of the previous Invisible Man, who's like a fucking mass murderer, to help me turn invisible or something. Or it was just very hokey, and it was one of those things where like I felt stupid because like I'm like, this is the first movie I'm watching on the list, and I think I'm like a good 20 minutes into the movie or 30 minutes into the movie, and I'm like barely realizing like, oh, Vincent Price is the Invisible Man. Okay, that's why I haven't seen him yet. I'm hearing his voice. Okay.
Yeah, like
God.
I thought this was a novel idea. This idea of like, okay, this time the Invisible Man, it's like they're going to use this as a solution to help an innocent man. I'm like, okay, there's something to that idea that I like, and there being this danger of it could have similar effects of him kind of going crazy and all that stuff, but this is a very underdeveloped idea where I feel
Yeah.
like you needed some time to actually see. Like, I think it was a huge mistake not showing his character until the end, because I think you needed to see him at the end. You needed to see him go to prison wrongfully. You needed to see the kind of man he was. It's just because we need to see like certain cues and things like that could. I don't like the idea of just, oh, he'll go mad. It's so vague. It's kind of boring. I think it's a lot better if you let us understand the character a little bit and see the ways in which we could see a certain quality of his going the wrong way if it was given a certain push by something like this serum and everything. But yeah, it's like I didn't hate watching the movie. It was okay as far as just entertainment, but I would still say I would probably classify it still as kind of a bad movie because it's just the idea is so underdeveloped. And by the time you're done with it, you're just kind of left thinking, what could have been, rather than what, this movie you got, which feels like this was probably a cash grab for its time, where they were just trying to capitalize off of the great idea that, I mean, granted, the original Invisible Man, to my understanding, did not make a lot of money, but it got popular after the fact. And I think they probably were just trying to capitalize off that, and they didn't flesh out their idea enough.
This one did make a lot of money, though.
This one did well.
Yeah, but
Well,
it's also interesting because it's like 7 years after the original, too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It probably that's why it made a lot of money. People are expecting I like the original. I'm big on the Universal Monster like grouping, but I felt this was probably one of the weaker movies. Not a bad movie, but a weaker movie. So I would put it on the top of the Price is Wrong list.
That's where I would put it.
Same.
Like
you think,
it's like you could do a lot worse than this movie, but you could also skip it and you wouldn't miss a thing.
Yeah, watch the original and you're fine,
Yeah. Watch the original. So there's our list. Our list is complete. I'll share it on social media if you guys agree with it. If you're watching this on the replay, please let us know if there's a movie we're missing. I will tell you all, mid-July, we're going to have the next one, which will be the 90s, 2000s in retrospect to the new I Know What I Did Last Summer remake. So I'm going to have that. It won't be that many movies because there's not a lot.
Is that what it's called? I Know What I Did Last
No,
I know what you did last summer.
Oh, okay.
Sorry. I know. Sorry.
I mean, I want to give this movie a lot of credit. I was like, it's called I Know What I Did Last Summer?
I Know What You Did Last Summer, which comes out July 18th. So somewhere around, I think, end of July, we'll have the 90s, 2000s, which I know a lot of you in the chat are millennials or in that age range, and you all know what movies I'm talking about. The Faculty, we've got Urban Legend, we've got the original I Know What You Did Last Summer, we've got Scream. There's quite a few of them, and some campier ones.
Oh no, the new one's directed by a woman.
No.
I mean, I don't take that into offense. I take the fact that the new one's trailer looks absolutely cringe, and
when Jennifer Love Hewitt shows up in the trailer, I was like, "Good God, no!" Like,
I think it's more Freddie Prinze Jr. I think he looks awful in it.
Well,
I think, yeah,
that was like the hint, It's like, oh, they're bringing back the same characters. Oh, and then you see J Lo, J Love, and she shows up, and you're like, oh god.
Yeah, it should be so. That won't be on the list. But what will be was those movies that high school nostalgia directed to young adult teenagers and stuff. So everybody knows what I'm talking about. So
An R-rated movie I snuck into and ended up regretting it because it actually really sucks.
Which one?
The original we did last summer. It's like because it's in that group of movies that horror movies that started franchise and whatnot. It's arguably the worst franchise starter. I think I know what you did. Like it's funny how many big careers kind of got started there, but
oh yeah,
I know what you did last summer is a genuinely terrible film, and I didn't even like it as a teenager. I was like, this movie sucks.
There's Scream, I Know What You Did Last Summer, Urban Legend, The Faculty, Disturbing Behavior, Idle Hands, Teaching Mrs. Tingle, Final Destination, Cherry Falls, Scary Movie, Valentine, Jeepers Creepers, The Glass House, Swim Fan, and Wrong Turner, to name a few of them.
Cool.
So yeah, that should be a fun one. And I think we're gonna have it on a weekday or something. We'll figure it out. But that being said, Gord, what do you got going on next? And what's going on with your channel, my friend?
Let's see. Last week I re-released on what's now my main channel. I re-released my video on Twilight, which it has some new edits and whatnot. It's somewhat different video, a little bit more fun, a little bit more production value to it. So you can check that out over there. Let's see. I will tomorrow be hanging out with Pops. We're gonna be talking Christopher Nolan's remake of Insomnia, so that should be fun. That'll be recorded and he'll put that out later, I think. And I actually did a stream earlier today over on Trev Retro's channel. Y'all can go over to his place and check that out. We had a fun discussion talking Dread 2012. Dang good movie. And you can catch me now for the foreseeable future on Sunday nights over at Niat's channel, as I am basically now a regular there.
Very nice. Very cool. Very cool. Endo, what do you got going on next, my friend?
Tomorrow, me and Dudicus and Cinevere watch the Andrew Dice Clay movie No Contest, starring Shannon Tweed. It's Die Hard in a beauty pageant. It's terrible. So watch the full length commentary of us watching that tomorrow at 2:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. I might go live tonight at midnight and continue watching The Swan season 2. We watched the first 3 episodes last night. It's insane. So I think we're gonna try to wrap that up as soon as possible, season 2, and I don't know. We're gonna start watching more weird stuff.
Is The Swan a show?
Yeah. The first season we watched a few months back. We watched the first and last episode of it, and it's the one where they take the average-looking women and give them a shitload of Botox and plastic surgery and new teeth and liposuction, and then 4 months later make them all enter in a beauty pageant. And,
gosh.
So season 2 we're watching in its entirety, and I have not seen it, so I'm watching it for the first time with all the people. So I think we'll pick up tonight at midnight, probably episode 4, 5, and 6. Maybe there's 11 episodes.
This
total,
is a show that already happened, not one that's still going, right?
2004,
No,
2 seasons that came out around that time, and then
it would never work.
It was,
Yeah, I was gonna say, it's like this has to have been back in like the mid 2000s, like because it's such bad taste. Like I'm stunned The Bachelor and The Bachelorette are still going. I'm like, wow, really?
It was The Swan was called really bad taste at the time too of its release, so it's not. It's offensive. It's fucked up. So
or that show that goes like, I think my husband's not gay. He just likes to sleep.
Yeah,
with
that
one.
was a failed pilot, and that was a show that I wish got a whole season. But we did recently watch Playing It Straight on my channel, and everyone loved it. So The Swan is the dark side of reality TV.
Speaking of with our 90s, 2000s horror, I should get Box Office Brawler on that tier stream. It'd be interesting to see from a Gen Z point of view, those movies. Because he's around the age that a lot of people saw those movies for the first time in theaters. So
he's young enough to still think Signs is a good movie, which
he thinks Scream is a comedy movie, and
Scream is kind of a comedy. It's horror comedy.
I don't know. Oh, we'll figure it out. I'll message you.
And I'm not trying to rag too hard on him because it's like I've been aware for a while that Signs was his like favorite movie. And I told him, I was like, look, I like Signs. I do think it's a bad movie. I thought it was absolutely hilarious. He was on Open Bar last week, and Mahler asked everybody what their favorite movie was, and when he said Signs, Mahler just paused, and I've heard Mahler's take on Signs. He was just like, "Are you serious?"
Signs is one of the movies to ever scare me. So I'm with Baller.
I think
Baller
Signs is a very entertaining movie.
It's about demons, bro.
Doesn't
They're
hold
not
up at all under
aliens.
scrutiny, but I like Signs. I like watching Signs, and I'm pretty sure even Mahler has said before he likes watching Signs, but it's just he and I would agree it's not a particularly good movie.
I
But
don't
it's
do
fine.
well with
It's fine.
alien movies like that, and my friends knew what it was, and I didn't know what it was going in, because this is, pre-YouTube time, right? Adolescence, when I was in high school, and they took me to a full theater, and when that alien thing popped out, I started crying, like full-on tears, bawling.
Oh, I was like, my brother and I
they
saw
held
it in
me.
theaters 3 times, and when the alien's up on the roof, literally all 3 times we were there, everybody in the theater jumped. And by the second time we were in the theater, we started laughing every time because we knew it was coming. When they'd see that alien, everyone was like, but now Signs is a fun movie to watch. I enjoy it.
Oh man, that's a hard one for me to watch again, because it gives me nightmares still to this day. As for myself, I will be back on Thursday, earlier time. We're going to go live at 6 p.m. Eastern time. It's a weird schedule this week, just with me coming back in and stuff. And I actually have family now in town. So going on Thursdays, Chills and Thrills, just updating on some horror news and stuff. Friday, we are back with Stranger Things. Stranger Things Season 3, Episode 5. So the crew is back to go back into discussion for it. We are now going to episode per week instead of 2 episodes per week since the announcement of Season 5. So we've got some time to play with. And then I know I put a poll up for everybody on what's the next show we should cover on Thursdays. Originally it was going to be Archive 81, but then they announced The Institute, which is a Stephen King adaptation of one of his books. So we're going to be starting that in July. I have a great panel for that. Some people you have not seen before on panels with me, so this should be fun. And then we'll figure out this next tier, but I'm thinking maybe end of July to give everybody some time to watch a couple movies. And we're going to do mid-90s, 2000s nostalgia, I think, for horror movies. And it should be fun. So that being said, I hope everyone had a great time. I will post the Vincent Price stream on social media. Gord, Enzo, Leon, you guys, I adore you guys. I always have fun with you guys on stream. So thank you guys for joining me today on this. And until next time, everybody, all know what to do. Stay spooky. Bye.